Hello, hello. Oh, that wasn't supposed to be up. This is a problem. Anytime I stream on a day that I don't normally stream, and you guys know that I don't normally stream on Saturdays. I'm getting my stuff together at the moment. Oh God, Rockfin is not letting me stream again. What is going on Rockfin? Hang on a second. Let me see if I can get in here, get things running. Well, I don't normally stream on Saturdays, but something happened today that I thought was a little bit funny. And I'm going to tell you guys about that in a second. Apparently, Rockfin really does not want me to stream today because they're not letting me go live on either of the streams that have been set up. All right, well, we'll just leave that up. We'll see if it's going. How's it going, guys? Happy Saturday. We got a lot of good stuff going on. Let me just finish my little plug in the chat. I've been busy at work. I had a craft and bitch with my locals earlier today. That was pretty great. Hang on. Let me just do some shameless shilling in the chat. There we go. Now you can join my locals if you want to. So, you guys know that lately I have been let's just say, a little bit obsessed with all things libertarian politics. Because I find it fascinating. I really do. The libertarian culture is just like, it is this little bastion of kind of insanity, kind of creativity, definitely very different than the two main parties, and I just have a really good time with it. So I last weekend went to the state convention for the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania. Anyone who has been watching my content lately knows that I've been kind of obsessed with this because it was amazing on several different levels. And one of the levels in which it's amazing at is, so essentially what's happening in the Libertarian Party is the Libertarian Party is about to be under new management. They have been under the management of woke leftists for a little bit now. They've bastardized everything the party should be doing. Apparently, I just found out that they've started blocking people. Like, the actual Libertarian Party account on Twitter has been blocking Mises Caucus accounts because they can't stand anyone who might have a different view of the world than they do. And so I've been a little bit obsessed with this lately. And so earlier today, I just happened to be on YouTube doing some work for some other stuff. And I noticed that the Faketarians, you'll see it right here, were interviewing Jennifer Moore. Who is Jennifer Moore, you ask? Jennifer Moore is the now former chair of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania. She was supposed to chair the state convention that I went to last weekend. But Jennifer is such a coward that she didn't even bother to show up for her own state convention. And in fact, before the convention, sent out an email to people saying, I'm going to go get a massage instead. Now, purely from a leadership perspective, this is fascinating to me. It is fascinating to me how someone could seemingly care so much about a party that they get themselves elected chair of the state party that they're in, which in Pennsylvania is a pretty big effing state. You're elected the state chair of the party. One of the responsibilities of the state chair of the party is to chair the effing convention. And when you finally figure out that you're going to lose in dramatic fashion, you just don't even bother to show up. You take your toys and go home. In fact, I mean, I think it's not an out of the world statement to say that Jennifer probably wasn't representing the interests of the party very well, because she was probably ignoring the good chunk of Mises Caucus people that were in it. But she didn't even bother to show up. She didn't have time for it. She decided to go get a massage instead. But what she did have time to do earlier today was to go on the Faketarian podcast. She had plenty of time for that, but not plenty of time to follow through on her leadership responsibilities. So, as someone who has done a fair bit of executive coaching, as someone who on occasion has run entire workshops surrounding how to be a good and effective leader, this is a really fascinating thing to me. It's fascinating that someone would put themselves in a position of leadership responsibility and then completely effing abdicate it. So I popped in earlier to a few minutes of the Faketarian live stream. You're going to see me mentioned on the stream a little bit later in the show. And even in those few brief moments, It was just as cringy and as bad as I thought it was gonna be. And so I thought, Victor on Saturdays does food deliveries. He basically likes driving around in his car and he likes having something to do and he sends the money to his family in Ukraine. So he does food deliveries on Saturday. I'm kind of sitting here at 8 o'clock at night with nothing else to do. Now I could continue to do work. I mean, that's an option. Or I could pour the rest of my giant mimosa that is left over from the stream the other day, and we can watch a Fakertarian stream and make fun of it. That's what I think we're going to do. So guys, if you enjoy this plan, if you want to make fun of the Fakertarians and the absolutely incredibly like bad example of leadership that Jennifer Moore exhibited in Pennsylvania, please go ahead and mount that like button for me. And we're going to get right into it. So, one of the weird things about this is, you know what I noticed? And I don't know exactly why they do this. Oh, the Fakertarians are here. Yay. The Fakertarians are here. That means they subscribe to my channel because you can't chat into my channel if you don't subscribe to it. So thank you for the subscription, Fakertarians. You guys can I'm not gonna block you guys. So the Fakertarians have been like ragging on me about blocking people on Twitter. What they won't tell you is they blocked me twice today in their chat. I'm not gonna block you guys in the chat. I'm gonna let you do your thing. I'm gonna let you say whatever nonsense things you want to say because unlike you guys, I actually do believe in free speech and that being an absolute. So you guys can say whatever the F you want to say, and my chat will be opening and welcoming to you, except to tell you in those moments that you're full of shit. Now, I am curious though, Fakertarians, because I have your unlisted podcast. I kind of left this up on my screen and then to do the stream later. And then I came back to it and I noticed that it's now unlisted and you have uploaded a separate version of the stream. And I'm not sure what you guys changed, but I am actually curious about why there is a separate version of your stream currently live on the channel. We're going to watch the unlisted version because I already have it up on my screen, so I already have the URL. So if you guys want to enlighten me about that, that'd be pretty great. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for that, guys, if you enjoy the work I do, whether I am digging apart CRT with every fiber of my being, whether I'm spending hours streaming different CRT trainings for you to enjoy, or whether I'm talking about libertarian drama, if you appreciate the work I do, I would love it if you could become a supporter in my locals community. Today on Locals, we just did a bitchcraft, which is our version of a craft and bitch, where we got together on a Zoom. There were like 30 people and we chit chatted and we did crafts. There was knitting, there was crochet, there was some really cool painting going on. We did that for about 3 hours earlier today. That's an exclusive for my local supporters. We also are having a get together. Excuse me, I'm still a little under the weather. Hang on. We also had a get together. We also have weekly get-togethers on Monday and on Wednesday in the community. When you join my locals community, I promise I'm not hacking up along most of the time. When you join my locals community, you will get access to our 2 Zoom calls every single week. You will get Bitchcraft. You will get book club. We got a book club coming up. It's pretty great. And most importantly, I have the best community on locals. They are the most supportive. We keep each other sane. They are some of the very best people that I know, and I'm grateful to call many of them friends. So if you would like to join us, please head over to kb.locals.com/support. It comes in at $5 a month or $50 a year if you want to get 2 months for free, or you can make a one-time gift. I really appreciate you guys supporting the work I'm doing. My locals make it possible for me to do nonsense like this on the internet and, sometimes some serious stuff too. So if you want to get in on the action, you know where to go. All right. Let's see. Well, Sam, it's interesting. I kind of liked John too until John turned out to be, well, a Weasley little fucker on this stream. And it's interesting to me, and I'm going to point out to you where he's a Weasley little fucker, but it is interesting to me just the absolute lack of intellectual honesty that I have seen from any of the people involved with the Fakertarians. Just complete lack of intellectual integrity. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we get into the stream. All right. Let's pull up the unlisted stream, Fakertarians, because I don't know what you changed and I don't really care. I just know that I want to watch the original live stream as it originally was. There we go. Share audio. Guys, mount that like button for me if you are ready to make fun of the Fakertarians relentlessly. Yes, Nat D, I know you think that John Hudak is a good-looking guy. I know. Wow, Carlin is Disney. I don't even know what that word is, Brian. They're gonna be screaming in the chat. All right, let's dig into it, guys. If it works, why isn't it working? Oh, there it goes. Okay.
Are you telling me that the Fakertarians want to make? They have a.
I've never actually watched a whole Fakertarian video before.
They're not even like humans.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Like making comments. They try
probably
to make the most degenerate comments.
Archie, get the fuck off my stream.
What's the thing with like that what's his name? Hudak guy? Like who is, I will say, Nick, on the show you were at there, right? Amongst them.
Cry harder, Brian.
He's the
Cry harder.
I believe
Cry harder.
has done more damage to the Libertarian Party than anybody Fakertarians tries to damage. Because it's a bunch of people who have no official position. They're just tweeting on their own personal timelines. And Fakertarians goes and screenshots and publicizes.
I believe Fakertarians have done no damage to the Libertarian Party because they're just not relevant enough. In fact, I'm kind of lowering myself even talking about them, if I'm honest.
It's the boy who cried wolf.
They are
like, they might actually be right one day. Maybe there'll be one day where there's an actual Nazi that someone puts on our show. We're just going to be like,
Well, the Fakertarians hop on and they're like, ooh, that's a anti-Semitic, and people are like,
the Fakertarians are probably so excited I'm talking about them right now because this is what they really want.
And
they want us talking
about
them.
Fuck that page, those Fakertarians. Fuck that page too. Fuck all those guys. They're on my shit list too. Fuck them. Giving me fucking shit for going on fucking Stefan Molyneux's show. Hey, they're fucking the Fakertarians one. Who actually pissed me off more because from what I've been told, there's like a couple decent people attached to that. Fuck them.
No, there are no decent people attached. They're all shills.
For fucking going on Stefan Molyneux's podcast to advocate against war because you didn't like that I called him great.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 44 of the Fakertarians podcast. I'm your host, John Hudak, along with Jeremy Kantorowicz, Archie Flower, and our tech guy. Today joining us, we have Jen Moore, the former chair of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania.
Hang on, I just want to pause right here. Doesn't she look like a miserable bitch? Like, SJWs always look miserable, and yes, I do believe that literally everyone attached to this show is an SJW, including John, which we'll talk about later. But like, I actually felt bad. By the way, I actually felt bad for John because I just steamrolled him so much in that discussion I had on my channel. It was so obvious that he had no idea what he was effing talking about. Can you imagine talking about anti-racism and having never read the book How to Be an Anti-Racist, having no idea who Ibram X. Kendi is? Can you imagine even having that as like a serious thought? But anyway, she looks like a miserable bitch. SJWs always look miserable. They always look old. I bet you I might actually be older than this woman, but I definitely don't look older than this woman. I mean, come on. No, Sean, this is actually a really good point. Archie did cause major damage to the Libertarian Party of Vermont. That is actually true. So this is not just nonsense. Archie is useless. Like, there's no, like, I don't even know why he's still around. Like, no, I mean, whatever. That's a different topic for a different day. But Sean is correct. Archie actually did cause damage. Archie wasn't allowing people to join the Libertarian Party in Vermont because he was so deranged about the Mises Caucus. He was like, he made himself paranoid and crazy.
Hey, I'm good. I've never seen that intro before. It looks like I'm in good company.
That's got to be my favorite of ours.
I really don't take, the opinions of people who joke about date rape and, things like that in high esteem. So, when they throw that stuff at me, that's usually the baseline that I, keep it at. So.
All right. Well, please tell me more about how she's not an SJW.
So,
absolute SJW.
What years were you the chair of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania, just before we get into things?
Yeah, just this past year. I was the Eastern Vice Chair for 3 years prior. And then I ran for chair this last year, just predominantly to make the Molten Maneuver successful. That was my only goal. I didn't really want to stay in leadership more than 4 or 5 years, so I was going out at the right time. It was a rough year. A very rough year.
So when did you first get involved in the party in general?
I went to the 2017 convention.
I mean, I have to ask, why did she even run for chair of the party? Because when she ran for chair of the party last year, she knew damn well that the party was going to be made up of, I'm sorry, mostly Mises Caucus people. Because the only reason that the Mises Caucus didn't take over the Pennsylvania State Party last year was because they implemented a stupid 180-day seasoning rule that they've never implemented before to prevent people from voting. So she knew damn well the party that she was stepping in to be the leader of. And I find it just to be grossly irresponsible to put yourself up for a position of leadership in a party when you do not in any way, shape, or form plan to actually represent the people in that party. That is the number one thing that you should be doing as a leader of any group, is to be representing and supporting the people that you are pretending to be in a leadership position over. I'm going to say pretending in her case because she obviously didn't care about actually serving the people in her own damn party. That is a low fucking class thing to do. I am sorry. Like, if you are putting yourself in a leadership position, take that responsibility seriously. And if you aren't going to take that responsibility seriously, if you're just going to be a shill for one side and not care about representing the actual members of your party at all, do not put yourself in that fucking position. Absolutely irresponsible.
And a lot of the people who are no longer friends are the people that I hung out with then. It was my birthday weekend. I told my husband I want to go to a libertarian convention. He's like, really, Jen? So I went. I got belligerently drunk. I had a great time. I said I would never get into leadership or be elected to office. And within a year, I was the Eastern Vice Chair, and I was elected as the Township Auditor. So the rest was kind of history.
I feel like that's how it happens.
Yep.
So, getting into a little bit of the Mises stuff, when did you first meet Michael Heiss? Was it prior to the whole Mises Caucus thing, or was that after?
This is actually a really good point. Michael Heiss, who is the founder of the Mises Caucus, is in the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania. So literally, this woman was the chair of the state party that Michael Heiss is a member of. So, I mean, if she can't give him even that baseline respect, it's just like, it's absolutely absurd. Listen, you don't have to like everyone. Not everyone needs to be best friends. But do not run for a leadership position in a group when you have absolutely zero intention of representing the interests of the people that you represent. I mean, this is like fucking basic.
Prior, Michael Heiss lives in my home county. We both live in Montco. And he lived in Lancaster, I believe, at the time that I came in. But he moved to Montco, I don't know, 2018 or 2019. I never really had a problem with him. You know, he had his big, like, in the Fenn rally in, 2018, and I thought that he was a good organizer. It was 2019 around the Maj Touré stuff that him and I kind of started having a falling out, because I just had a very poor personal interactions with Maj, because we both lived right here in this corner of the state. And I kind of withdrew from his campaign and said that I would rather focus on the Moulton Maneuver, because I just felt like it was a better use of my time. And you know how it works. Like, all of a sudden, then there were these huge conspiracies that I was trying to platform him from national and run him out of the party. And like, even to this day, they're still like slinging this crap. And like, none of that had anything to do with me. I just decided to work on something else because I didn't like the guy personally. I mean, that was all it was. It says something about your activism where just withdrawing your support is enough to make everybody mad at you, right?
Well, I think it also says a lot more about your leadership when you refuse to show up to perform one of the duties of the job, which is to chair the state fucking convention, because you know you're going to get your ass absolutely handed to you, and you just go off and get a massage instead. I think that says something about your leadership, Jen.
It's funny because I know they're talking about running Maj for vice president in 2024 too. Was there something specific that went down with that campaign that kind of soured you on it?
Well, for me, I was supposed to meet with him to talk about, some of the things that he'd been saying. I was party leadership, and he didn't show up. And when he didn't show up, we kind of sent him a "Hey, Maj, what happened?" text. And, I mean, the answer was a typical Maj answer. So, and then like Michael Chastain had just given us like $4,000 for a lawsuit for a couple of our candidates who went through. So, I was very sad to see all that happen. And I publicly apologized on behalf of the party, that we really appreciate everything he's done for us. And that, caused some rifts. But really, it was just a matter of, I saw that how Maj was calling everybody marshmallows and cursing. And, then I had the bad interaction with him where he stood me up. And I just said, I don't have any role as the Eastern Vice Chair in local campaigns. I'm just going to back away and work on something else. And we won 47 elections because I worked on something else. And I'll tell you what, I reached out to his campaign manager, Janine, around ballot access, or at the time we had turned signatures, and said, do you need me to look over your papers or anything? Which is more than I did for most of our local candidates. So it's not that I completely tuned them out. I did say, do you have any questions? Is there anything I can do for you before you turn it in? And she said, no, we're good. And that was kind of the last that I heard. It turns out the guy only got 2 votes in his own precinct. He had never voted in an election before that day. And I don't need to say anything about him. You can look at his campaign financials, and that says everything you need to know. I mean, that's...
Yeah, and I saw the results from that campaign too, and it was like 14th out of.
By the way, they're absolutely going to say the same thing about me with the governor run when I don't do well because I wasn't expecting to run for governor. They're absolutely going to pull the same shit. They'll be like, "Look, Carolina got like less than 1%, and she didn't even raise any money, and blah 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 blah." It's like these people. They're going to pretend that I've never said that this isn't a real campaign before in their life. So I'm just going to stop, pause the video right here on what is it, March 12th, 2022. So I can cut this up later after November when these guys are running around saying, Carolyn only got X% of the vote and she didn't raise any money and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's not a real fucking campaign. Tom J, thank you for the super chat. Just got here. This is a spy stream. Quick summary would be great. No, this is not a spy stream. This is like a straight reaction stream. If you want a summary, I suggest you rewind to the beginning. It's basically I'm reacting to this woman who completely abdicated all of her leadership responsibilities as the now former chair of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania, but she wasn't the former chair last week when she should have damn well been chairing the goddamn convention.
The 17th.
But I appreciate the super chat. Thank you.
Didn't some guy that rode his bike around town got
more,
got more votes.
He got 0.47%, which, I mean, he was running a campaign for his own reasons. And I think that his campaign financials show that what he was doing with that campaign. So, I mean, if anybody's interested, that's the place to look.
So prior to that campaign, you didn't really have any bad impressions of the Mises Caucus.
Okay,
It was just
well,
kind of...
I'll tell you, I am one of the admins on Delegates Unofficial. And during 2018, we had all of the stuff with, Josh Smith ramping up, running for chair and Michael Heiss defending him and all the, Ron Paul wasn't invited stuff. And a lot of it just seemed very immature and just outrage for outrage's sake. Michael Heiss announced that he was running for Eastern Vice Chair, and I announced against him because I didn't think that he would bring professionalism to the role. I didn't really have any problem.
Oh, you're wanting to talk about professionalism, Jen.
Go in a different direction, and he dropped out of the race after I announced. So, but I didn't have a problem with him at that point. No, I would say my real I wasn't really an
John. Just so you know, because John's watching right now. He's the Fakertarians in the chat. I'm pretty sure. John, just so you know, half of the gay men in my locals community really have a crush on you. Now, that's not to say much about your personality. It's just about your looks. But for what it's worth, they appreciate that at least. I mean, the people who think I'm a serious candidate aren't watching this stream tonight. You guys know the truth. You know the secret. I am not a serious candidate for governor. I was not expecting to be nominated for governor. It's not a real thing. Julian, thank you for the super chat. I'm going to laugh for a week straight when you win the governor's seat. Vermont convention on March 26th. You should come. Maybe I will come to the Vermont convention, Julian. Thank you for that. Phil McCracken, Murphy's Pool has changed his name back to Phil McCracken, so we all just need to respect that. I know we knew him as Murphy's Pool, but he's now decided to adopt a different name. You got to be drinking something good. I'm drinking leftover mimosa from yesterday, so that's all. That's all. I did accept the nomination. I thought it would be ungrateful not to accept the nomination. Doesn't mean I also, by the way, I also do like the idea of there being a libertarian option on the ballot. I do actually legitimately like that idea. That was another reason I accepted the nomination. And also, apparently, Jeremy and I get access to additional resources for Jeremy's campaign as a result of us running as a ticket. So there's additional benefit to me accepting the nomination that has absolutely nothing to do with me running a serious campaign for governor. I just want to make sure we're all clear on that. Oh, yes. Every voter in every state should write my name in on their state ballot. I think that nothing could go wrong with that plan. I think it's a great idea. God. Saturday's streams get a little silly, guys, just so you know.
Anti-Mises person until the last 6 months.
No, I see that happen with a lot of people. I was involved with Mises at one point.
So Jen just said she's only been an anti-Mises person for the last 6 months. So that means that Jen has been anti half of her state party that she's the state fucking chair of for the last 6 months. That's not responsible leadership. If you don't want to lead all of the people in your party, don't run for chair of the party. It's really that simple. George Andre Veloso Nunez says, imagine if you win just by word of mouth. God, I don't want to be governor. I mean, I would do it. I've always said if I by some intervention of God happen to be elected governor of New Hampshire, I would do it to the very best of my abilities. I would try. I have a whole plan. I have a whole 5-point plan. Dragonwater says, John doesn't look bad. He wasn't horrible during your discussion. I would definitely vote Carlin in Ragnar. I don't know what that last word is, Dragonwater, but thank you. I appreciate that. All right, let's keep going.
Archie was involved with Mises at some point, and then we just kind of flip on him after a while after some things go down.
Because you have Mises derangement
They had a lot
syndrome.
bigger problem with me for a lot longer time than I did with them.
You have Mises
to tell you the
derangement
truth.
syndrome.
Like, I
that's
really
why.
admired a lot of their energy, and I still don't think that, all of them are bad. It's just, it's disheartening how they just buy into the propaganda.
What
and if you've been with
propaganda?
them, you understand.
Wait, what
Yeah, there's a
propaganda are
very
we buying
cult-like,
into?
I would say, mentality there, where it's you have to buy into everything they say, and if you don't buy,
I'm sorry, I know there are Mises people in the chat right now. Who is the distributor of propaganda that we're all allegedly buying into? Maybe we just happen to agree. Maybe we happen to be aligned in agreement that you all suck and should not be leading the party in any way, shape, or form. I want to know who is the because listen, man, I disagree with Michael Heiss. Now, not often, to be quite frank, but there are things that Michael Heiss has said and done that I absolutely disagree with. But what propaganda am I buying into?
buy into everything they say. Like if you don't like one of their major candidates or something like that, you kind of get otherized and pushed to the side. I've seen that happen with a lot of people. I've seen it happen with Archie. I've seen it happen with
yes, if you act like overt SJWs, which is directly against the platform of the Mises Caucus, which includes no identity politics. If you're harping on anti-racism, which is exactly what John did in the stream with me, even though he's never actually read How to Be an Anti-Racist, never read White Fragility, he doesn't actually know what these people are saying or what they actually advocate for. He just pretends he does. But if you're overtly advocating against the platform of the caucus that you're involved in, you're probably not going to fit in. That's just reality. If you don't want to go by the platform, then don't fucking be involved. Tom J says, just watched Josh Smith on Conspiracy Castle today. Hope to see you on Castle. Alex Stein number 99 too, if you haven't already. I've heard of this show. I have never watched it. A bunch of people have been mentioning it to me lately. I don't know. I've kind of had it with other content creators. No offense to other content creators watching this. If I've never spoken to you, I'm sure you're fine. But my frustration with other content creators is it's peak. It's peak. It's I don't know. That's a different rant for a different day. Dragonwater says, other happening with every political group when you go against them. Yeah, I mean, this happens all the time. This is just how it works. It's these kids are these kids. I mean, John Hudak is basically a child, but these people are just they're pissed off that they weren't invited to sit at the popular kids table because they shit on the popular kids all the fucking time. That's what happens. When you shit on the popular kids all the time, you will no longer be invited to their table at lunch. I don't know why these people didn't learn this in grade school.
Joseph Howe out in Iowa. It seems very common.
Well, I have situational awareness enough to the point where, like, when
I'm
all
not
of that
sure you
was
do,
going down,
Jen.
I left on my own.
Yeah.
Like, I left their groups knowing that I wasn't welcome there, and they removed, Kevin and Steve and all of, the rest of our team, within weeks of or days of me leaving. But, it was just one of those things. If I'm not wanted here, I have other things to work on. I'm not going to waste my time,
Yeah.
So.
So post-Maj, especially while you were chair, what was your experience like with Heiss and the rest of kind of the Mises Caucus leadership? I would say not necessarily like the rank and file member that might be okay, but like the really like hardcore ones.
So, the other big story that they like to circulate is that I installed a socialist as the chair of our county. Henry was a friend. It was one of those things where I showed up and I voted on my own behalf. It was one of those, everything's a conspiracy. Everything, anything that happens is, a giant conspiracy by leadership. So
I just want to point out that she brought that up without even being asked. He was basically like, what else don't you like? And she's like, they spread lies about me that I installed the socialist as chair of the county. Like, you just answered a question that you weren't asked. So that just means she's a little bit triggered. And Sam makes a good point too. She didn't deny that she's friends with a socialist.
I showed up, on my own behalf. Now they'll tell you that, someone said you called whipping votes and blah, blah, blah. Like, I really showed up and voted on my own behalf. And they talk about the out of county votes. There were three people there from out of county, and Henry still would have won handily, even without those 3 votes. The reason why Henry won was because, number one, he campaigned. He called everybody and asked them to vote for him. And number two, Michael Heiss and Mark Bazzacco had just written this great big letter trying to remove our executive director because he insulted Michael Heiss on Facebook. I think exactly everybody was just sick of the drama, which is why Henry won. But, that's another thing that they tag me with is that, I installed the socialist, which is amazing because I just happened to be present in the room. And, now I'm serious JLM, But he used it. It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is. Watching that kind of propaganda and just these stories they make up or just
You know what I find with all of these guys, and this is very similar to what I see with like legit SJWs, and I do again think that these people are legit SJWs, is they act like children. They speak like children. It's very young. It's like they've been emotionally stunted at some point. Watch for this. You guys are going to see it. They act like children.
Well, the reason I tell that story is because that was the story that was used against me when I announced for chair. All of a sudden, there were phone calls to all the leaders around the state, telling them that,
they campaigned against you? Oh, they
ran Maj out of the party and I caused all this drama.
So you're allowed to campaign, but they're not.
Things that, I was around the situation, but they were just like blown up astronomically. And it was a situation where a lot of these people have been working with me for years at this point, and they knew me, and it, really kind of turned them towards me. But there were other situations. There was a donor that I was working with, to get some funding for the Molten Maneuver, and he was like, I don't want to deal with this mess. Like, I'm just, get back to me when you guys want to be professionals. So we lost donors over that stuff. It sucked, but then came, the convention.
I have offered on multiple occasions at this point, publicly, to donate $20,000 to the Libertarian Party as long as Nick and Valerie Sarwark renounce their lifetime memberships and GTFO. I have offered to donate a substantial sum of money to the Libertarian Party, and I have yet to have one single person from the Libertarian Party, of which I am a member, and have offered to donate a substantial sum of money to, They have not sent one person to reach out and talk to me at all. So don't tell me about we're losing all these donors. We're losing all these donors. We're losing all these donors. I have offered you here $20,000 on a silver fucking platter as long as Nick Sarwark gets the fuck out of the party that no one wants him in anyway and takes his wife with him. They haven't even bothered to reach out. I mean, they haven't even bothered to like reach out and try to negotiate to be like, Carlin, we can't really tell 2 lifetime members, one of whom was a 3-term chair, to leave the party. But is there anything else you want? They haven't even reached out to try to negotiate. It's like, this is a bare minimum of effort. I have made this announcement publicly on multiple occasions. They could have at least written me a letter or something, been like an email, been like, well, maybe we can't do that, but what else do you want? Like, they could have tried. They haven't tried. Don't tell me you care about fundraising when you have an opportunity to get $20,000 with not really doing that much, and you don't even put in any effort.
And it was very hotly contested. You know, everybody was trying to get people there, and we didn't waive.
Sean, pathetic, whiny victim mentality. How about learn from your mistakes, inspire, recruit, and organize? Well, they don't do that. They don't do that. And they just whine and complain when other people that they don't like do it.
180, which, you know, I didn't really expect it to go that way. I think I would have won either way. But after the convention, I made a huge point of going out and talking to Mises leadership because they really didn't have a seat at the table. My colleagues had really felt, you know, prior that, you know, they lacked maturity and they were outraged at everything, and bringing them in would be a problem.
Here's the other thing. They complain about the lack of maturity in the Mises Caucus. The Mises Caucus are the ones that are organizing. The Mises Caucus are the ones that are bringing new members into the party. The Mises Caucus are the ones that have defeated them so resoundingly that they keep losing state race after state race. They have lost the executive boards in like so many races at this, or in so many different states at this point. It's ridiculous. So they want to talk about the lack of maturity of the Mises Caucus, but the Mises Caucus seems to be the only like branch of the Libertarian Party that is actually bringing new people into the party and inspiring people and getting people excited enough to show up. If you cannot get people excited enough to show up to your state convention, and in Pennsylvania, we had like 80% of the people there. And even if you had taken out all of the out-of-staters, even if you had removed all of the out-of-staters, the Mises Caucus still would have controlled that entire convention, probably with a 2/3 majority. At least half. They absolutely still would have won. And that is because these people are utter failures at bringing new people in, at articulating a message, at inspiring people, and they just go around saying, the Mises Caucus is immature, it's immature, it's immature. Well, it's mature enough to beat your asses. Like, how is it possible that you keep losing so resoundingly to this immature band of hooligans if you're so great? That makes no sense at all.
And I said, no, you know, they deserve a seat at the table. I'm going to integrate them into committees, and, you know, I'm going to help with this. So I did go around the state and meet with a lot of people, and most of the conversations were really good. And I did keep that promise. Most of the people that I integrated onto committees during my time in chair were Mises. There were a couple times where there was a hiccup where, like, you know, there was somebody who I'd said I would appoint to social media, and then he came out really hard against the Moulton maneuver. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how can I put you in a place where you're supposed to be promoting our wins when you believe that we're overselling our wins? Like, I did eventually put him there, but I had like some real hesitation about him being able to, you know, properly articulate what we were trying to do when we weren't really on the same page. But, you know, overall, the integration into the committees, number one, either they didn't really do much, or number two, it turned into like a brawl. And some committees down to a halt and stopped working. Other committees just had fights 2 or 3 times a week where everybody was arguing. It was rough. It was really rough. And when it came to the board meetings, organizational sabotage is the only way to. I mean, my meetings started out being 4 hours, and they went to 6 hours. They went to 8 hours, and people don't really understand how little power the chair has. Just like right out of the gate, like adding things to the agenda without, without putting them there in advance. The agenda was a political football that we would debate for 2 hours.
Wait. She wants to complain about the Mises Caucus coming in and adding things to the agenda. You're going to see her complaining lately. She didn't even bother to do an agenda for the state convention at all. Didn't even bother to do one. And apparently the Mises Caucus guys were like asking her for an agenda. And you're going to see later in this stream where she's like, how dare they ask me for an agenda when she's complaining about an agenda here. So that's just like downright hypocrisy. Of course. Why would I expect anything else? Dragonwater, what is she talking about with the Molten Maneuver? I don't know. That is a good question for anyone in the chat. What is the Molten Maneuver? I don't know what she's talking about. This was probably before my time, because I joined last year right around the time of last year's Pennsylvania convention, maybe a little bit right after it. I don't really remember. But if anyone in the chat can explain what the Molten Maneuver is, that would be fantastic.
Just like going through the nuance of policies, like trying to edit policies there on the floor, and people would send the policies and I would ask 2 or 3 times, will you please like send us the wording of this policy so that people can workshop it before we get there? And they just refused to do it. And then they would want to talk about it. We spent probably a quarter of our meetings with them trying to remove our executive director. Like, I mean, it just like, it was nonstop. I mean, there wasn't a time that I laughed that I didn't have a tension headache. I mean, the meetings were just, and then as soon as Mises had majority of the board, that's when they started kicking out reps. Like they just started removing valid board reps.
Okay, so the Faketarians are not actually answering the question. The Molten Maneuver is a strategy the LPPA has utilized to win local elections, which made them one of the most successful state affiliates. But what is it? What is it? That is the question, Faketarians. What is it? What are they doing? It shouldn't be a super secret. You guys should be able to explain this.
I'm telling you what, our very last meeting, it came to our attention that there were problems with our bylaws if I were seating out of state delegates. I'm sure you've heard this story.
Oh.
And that, it may not be legal to do so. So I called a special meeting, and immediately the first thing they start trying to do is remove reps. This person should.
Oh, so how, okay. So the brilliant party of the Pennsylvania, of the brilliant maneuver that has resulted in all these local elections being won is simply that they run in uncontested races. Now, listen, I'm going to say I think this is actually a smart thing to do. But let's not pretend for 1 second that this maneuver can't be continued with the Mises Caucus controlling the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania. They can still do this. This isn't... The reason I bring this up is these people have acted like, oh my God, the Mises Caucus taking over means we're never going to win another election ever in the history of elections. That's just not true. If it's just about running in uncontested local races, then anyone can do that. Michael Heist did this. Michael Heist literally effing did this. Sam says, in the LP, policies come from candidates, not the party. Well, I guess. Yeah, it was a parody of Liberty Hangout. That's what it was.
Shouldn't be on this call. And it came down to like everybody is like screaming, appeal the ruling of the chair, appealing the ruling of the chair. And I'm like, I just want to vote about whether or not we're going to have this meeting, because the vote was obviously going to fail, right? Like we had 21 and we needed 23. Weren't going to get there. We'd already been arguing for half an hour. I told him, I'm like, Michael, Mr. Heiss, if you interrupt me one more time, I'm going to have you removed from this meeting. He yells, appeal the ruling of the chair. And I'm like, please remove Mr. Heiss from this meeting and mute everyone else. We proceeded with the vote. A couple people changed it to a no vote. I said, the no vote fails. Everybody have a good night. I'm going to go read my daughter Harry Potter. And then, of course, there was like, now you can see she's an authoritarian dictator, and it's like, they even asked me, they're like, when did this, become a dictatorship? And I'm like, right now. Right now.
I think I saw that.
Because like this vote's going to fail, right? Like, are we going to spend 2 hours doing this? Like, I mean, it was just like to the point, it was beyond ludicrous. I couldn't anymore. Like when it came time to chair the convention, there were just too many liability issues. and nobody close to me blamed me because
Okay, so what she's pretending is that some state law was broken because out-of-state people voted at their state convention, which PS was within their bylaws. It is no longer in their bylaws because they fixed it at the state convention. But she's actually pretending that this is a real thing. This was a scare tactic that they used to try to scare out-of-state people away from voting because they knew that they would otherwise get their asses handed to them. And it didn't work, and they got their asses handed to them anyway.
I knew that it was going to be, number one, I had credible information that they were going to try to push through out of state and then throw me under the bus for it. And I didn't have time to get legal counsel about whether that was going to actually be a problem. They had been threatening and hostile for months. And, I really believed that they were going to remove me as convention chair anyway. And really, I think that what they're really mad about when they're calling me a coward and everything else is they didn't have one more chance to make me miserable. I didn't give it to them because, like I said, I have that situational awareness where, when it's time to walk, it's time to walk. Like, you guys want it more than I do. You can have it. I mean, it's a little political party that gets 2% of the vote, right?
No, exactly.
So she's now mocking the Libertarian Party that she apparently she's like pretending she's like not upset that she's not in charge of it anymore. And it's like, this is a woman that was a state fucking chair, basically saying, I don't want it as badly as this band of immature hooligans. If they're so immature and so ineffective, then why are you saying, ha ha ha, they just might want it more than me? It kind of sounds like you never really wanted it in the first place, Jen. It kind of sounds like you never actually wanted to be in a leadership position in the Libertarian Party in the first place. You're like, oh, just that silly little party that only gets 2% of the vote. I would rather get a massage and read Harry Potter to my children. Then why did you run to be the state chair in the effing first place? If you aren't, you guys talk about the Mises Caucus not taking this seriously, and then you're like, ha ha ha, they maybe took it more seriously than I did. You are revealing that you yourselves have never taken this seriously. And that is the entire reason why you are being removed from all positions of power in general. And I love to fucking see it. I love to see people like this lose.
So can you speculate on their motivation for why you think they were so disruptive just through meetings throughout your chairmanship? As you were saying, they basically were just like drawing meetings out. Was it just like a making you look bad, or what was it?
I think it was making me look bad. I think to them, this is like sports, it's like a sports game, right? They stay on and discuss it afterwards for hours, like it's Sports Center. I think that they think it's fun.
Oh, you mean that you have a group of people that are taking the party seriously and they have meetings and they discuss things and they prepare things ahead of time? But I thought that they were just a bunch of immature hooligans. What problem do these people have with taking something fucking seriously? If you don't take it seriously, don't be involved. I feel like I'm going to keep saying this repeatedly over the course of this stream. And I'm just going to apologize now that I have to say the same thing over and over and over again. If you're going to be upset that a group of people have meetings and organize and inspire people and get people to join the party and bring new people in and increase numbers, because elections are actually won not by just running in uncontested races, but by actually getting votes so you can run in contested races. Was Jen's brilliant strategy that she was just going to run candidates in uncontested races forever, and that was going to help expand the reach and the power of the Libertarian Party? Was that the plan? No. If you want to win real elections where there's more than one effing candidate, you have to get votes. You have to inspire new people to join the party. Apparently, trying to do that is just taking it a little too seriously, and we don't want to take it seriously because this is just a fucking social club to these people. That's all it is.
I mean, I really do. I think the meetings will be easier now for them. At least I hope they are, that they'll be able to get more done because they're not purposely trying to disrupt me. And it was always the same couple people.
Yes,
I had a couple people bring it to me that my opponent might have just been a sore loser. I don't know. It's hard to talk about motives. It could be anything. I don't like it when they talk about my motives because they're almost always wrong. It just, and that's the thing is we've developed this culture of character assassination and questioning each other's motives that really sucks. I mean, and it never used to be like this. Like we always had weirdos, but now we have like evil clowns, right?
So when they were
that's getting memed. That's totally getting memed.
So when they were removing
Wait. I have a separate question in the chat that needs to be addressed. Emphasize wants to know: are nudists free, welcome, and safe to be nude at PorkFest? So there is a whole kind of like nudist area at PorkFest. They have naked yoga. They have a naked hot tub, apparently. They kind of keep to themselves off in their naked area, though. I didn't see any naked people last year. But I didn't spend much time in the naked area. I don't know. Maybe other people can answer that.
Did they give like actual reasoning for it? Like even if it was like the reasoning was like a pretext that they had.
Oh yeah. It was fantastic. Like I mean, it just like it's like rules didn't they actually seated a county. They were appealing the ruling of the chair to override the bylaws. It was ridiculous. We had a county that only had 11 signatures and they needed 12, and they gave this county a seat on the board with only 11 physical signatures, which the interesting part is that was the very first thing that came up. Was in prior terms, whenever somebody got to 12 members and they approached us, we said, go ahead, you have your board vote. You know, we never made them go get the signatures. And then they contested that at the June meeting and said it needs to be a physical petition. I said, no, it doesn't. They appealed the ruling of the chair. They lost. They brought it to the judicial committee and said, yes, we need to have 12 signatures. So then when one of their Mises counties comes up and needs 12 signatures, all of a sudden they didn't need 12 signatures anymore. So they seated, that board rep. But then we also have a policy to only have 7 voting members on each subcommittee. And that's just a good governance thing. Of course, it's been spun into this conspiracy that we, are trying to limit Mises being on these committees. But like our 46-person board should tell you why you shouldn't have 46 people on a committee, right? I mean, it was just good governance stuff. It wasn't meant to keep anybody off. But there were plenty of committees that had more people. And we just decided that we were going to grandfather them in and kind of like, lose them by attrition. So we had a committee where they didn't like the board rep because she wasn't going to vote their way. It was the membership committee, and they had a vote within the committee about changing their board rep, and she won, but there were 8 votes instead of 7. So they contested it, and then the body of the voted and they removed her. But the thing is, there were other committees that had more than 7 people. They didn't try to remove them. The elections committee had like 12. I know I'm going I feel like I'm going way into the weeds. So hopefully you guys are following me.
No, you're good.
But, it just the rules only apply to other people, not to them. And I just felt like,
well, you guys seem to say the same thing though. The rules only apply to you and not to other people. You guys do exactly the same effing thing in reverse every single time, predictably.
My sense of fairness was being abused because I would seat their
my
people,
sense of fairness,
whether I liked them or not, without any argument. But then it became appeal the ruling of the chair. We're gonna make this into a fiasco whenever it was someone they didn't like. And when it came down to the convention, it was the same thing. I decided not to chair the convention for liability reasons. They've been
you decided not to chair.
Even now they're arguing about paying their contractors and stuff for the convention. I'm trying to not look at it, but I still am getting which that's their problem now, not mine. But I just knew there was a lot of liability of being involved with this organization after audit and everything else that went on. Not to mention the fact that I was just surrounded by people that I don't even want to know.
Wait. You think that there's a lot of liability to be involved in an organization that you were literally the chair of for a year? If there was a lot of liability in regards to being involved with the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania, that probably emanates from the person who was elected to lead the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania. That is what you signed up for, Jen. If there was a lot of liability issues involved with the party that you were in charge of, that is your fault. That's your fault. That's your responsibility. If you didn't want to take responsibility for those things because you don't take being the chair of a state party seriously. You shouldn't have run for it in the first place. This is why these people should not be allowed anywhere near any leadership position ever. They don't take it seriously. She's even already said in this stream that the Mises Caucus takes this more seriously than she does, that the Mises Caucus wants this more than she does. Then you shouldn't have run for the state party chair in the first place.
So, I decided not to chair it, and I was very clear in my email to them that I am not resigning. I'm handing the gavel to the vice chair. And they declared the chair vacant and appointed someone else, which really was just kind of a dirty move because the chair was not vacant. And they knew the chair wasn't vacant.
Let's be clear, because we've all watched what happened in the state convention. We watched it on Friday. What happened was the chair kept dragging his feet and stalling and not allowing votes on things. And because the Mises Caucus showed up overwhelmingly with a majority, they had the 2/3 they needed to remove him. Had he actually allowed votes on things, maybe they wouldn't have. I didn't actually hear them talk. I mean, maybe I could be wrong. I'm not like one of the organizers or anything, but the first I heard of them removing the chair actually happened about an hour into the convention when the chair was just dragging his feet on everything and not allowing votes. That was the first I heard about it. So maybe if he didn't want to be removed as chair, he should have done his fucking job and actually chaired the goddamn meeting.
But, I think that they intended to remove me in the same fashion, but I didn't give them the
These
opportunity.
people are so paranoid. They're
I wrote
so
a
paranoid
little bit about that
and crazy.
in my statement about why I didn't chair. And I still to this day think it was a good decision. And I don't think that I was abandoning my friends because my friends knew and they understood and they knew that.
This is why I say this is like high school. These people, he's like, I didn't abandon my real friends. You were chair of a political party. That's like all the proof you need that these people only look at this like a social club. I didn't abandon my real friends. It's not about being best fucking friends. This is a political party. You were chair of a state fucking political party. This is not about having your friends back and supporting your friends and abandoning your friends. It is a political party. Why is this difficult to understand? I don't get it.
I mean, the ones that were noted, I'm going to help them get on the ballot. So,
I mean, yeah, it was interesting to see what went down, what actually went down at that convention too. I'm sure even though you weren't there, you're pretty familiar with it.
Yeah.
The whole, especially the whole Daryl Brooks thing.
Well, that was another thing. I didn't want to be presiding over that on the TV cameras.
Hudak.
I knew that was coming.
John Hudak is like getting off to this Daryl Brooks thing like nothing I've ever seen before in my life. This like turns this fucking kid on like nothing I've ever seen before in my life. Yes, Daryl Brooks should have been more vetted. But John, if you actually believe that systemic racism is a thing, then why do you keep dunking on a black guy for a wrongful fucking conviction? Seems to me, John, that you don't actually take you don't take your systemic racism argument all that seriously when you keep dunking on a black guy who has maintained ever since it happened that he was wrongfully convicted. Seems like you don't really care about systemic racism when it applies to people who are not on your fucking team.
He actually worked as a paid petitioner for me. And we had to try to meet with him like 4 times because he kept not showing up, which, is not an abnormal paid petitioner thing to happen. But he wasn't real reliable, on that front. But I would caution anybody who's going to be working with paid petitioners this year is, have them meet you somewhere. Don't go.
Who is Ibram X. Kendi, John? Have you actually Googled who Ibram X. Kendi is yet? Have you Googled the Department of Anti-Racism that he wants to start? Have you Googled the Anti-Racism Constitutional Amendment? Have you done any research into the thing that you keep talking about like it's a real thing, but it's something that you obviously don't understand because you haven't even read the bare fucking minimum of literature on this? Haven't done the most. You talk about systemic racism and you haven't actually read How to Be an Anti-Racist? Are you fucking shitting me? Why have I read that book and you haven't? Why do I know more about anti-racism than you do, John?
Go and try to meet them because you won't get them. But that's the kind of knowledge that I wasn't able to pass on because nobody asked me. I have productivity metrics and stories about all these people. You know?
Yeah, and I know Heiss said that he wasn't really aware of Brooks's past when he nominated him too, which I thought was kind of interesting.
So John Hudak's excuse for why he talks about systemic racism all the fucking time but has yet to read How to Be an Anti-Racist is that he doesn't care who Ibram X. Kendi is. Why don't you care about black people, John? Why don't you care? If you care so deeply about anti-racism and systemic racism and all these things you claim to know about, then why don't you care about one of the leading advocates for these issues in the country right now? Why don't you even know who that guy is? John Hudak, literally, until I said the term or the name Ibram X. Kendi on the stream like 2 days ago, had no fucking idea who he even was.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing is I didn't talk with any
All
of
image,
him about it.
zero
Joe Selesky
substance.
got in a call saying that they
Typical
might run
SJW.
him, and I knew
Typical
about it
SJW.
well beforehand, but I didn't. And then it kind of like faded out, so we didn't know if he was going to run or not. Ultimately, he was ineligible. So
No, I know that. I think that kind of demonstrates a level of incompetence too there in terms of they're not looking into him and they're not even looking.
You know what I think demonstrates a level of incompetence is when you talk all day about systemic racism while dunking on a black man who was wrongfully convicted of a crime and not even knowing who Ibram X. Kendi is. That's what I think reeks of incompetence. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's the mimosa talking. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Looking into him enough to know if he's eligible.
Look at this. A cis straight white man claiming to care about racism when he doesn't even know who the patron black scholars are of the fucking field.
Run.
yeah.
Right.
Well,
So
the only
you're
time
saying
they've ever
that-
won any elections in Pennsylvania is out of spite for me because, at some point I told them they didn't care about elections. So they stand up and make sure that they go and get, a few people on the ballot.
James Lindsay is the
to prove,
king.
Jen
He is
Moore
the
wrong.
king.
Oh yeah,
You're,
because
you're saying he was on their plan for a while and they had more than ample time to take 5 minutes to Google his record?
Oh yeah, at least a couple of months. I heard
I mean, John Hudak could take more than 5 minutes to Google Ibram X. Kendi. He could take more than 5 minutes to Google constitutional anti-racism amendment. He could take 5 minutes to do that. I just don't understand why he doesn't put on a shirt and fucking do those things. Maybe that's just me. Nat D says it happened in 1995 with Brooks. He did his time. Yeah, he did his time. He wrote a whole book about it. I don't know if it's true or not, but if systemic racism is as prevalent as John Hudak claims that it is, then one might wonder if systemic racism was at play here. I'm just saying. Incognito, hey John, Miss Carlin, not someone to mess with. I thought he had a girlfriend or something. There seems to be pictures of him with a girl on his Facebook profile. John, are you gay? Can you dispel any rumors about your sexuality just so we can confirm that you are a privileged, straight, cisgendered, white man talking about systemic racism like a guilty goddamn liberal? Look, doesn't even know who Ibram X. Kendi is. Confirmed. Doesn't know who Ibram X. Kendi is. Yes, he is straight. Privileged, straight, cis, white man, per usual, talking about systemic racism. Doesn't even know what it is.
About it at least a couple of months prior, so.
I mean, there were so many articles about him too. It's not like you'd actually have to do a background check or something.
There's so many articles about Ibram
Yeah,
X.
this
Kendi.
is
It's
not
like you
deep
even have to do a
opposition
background
research
check.
here. This is
Yeah,
5 minutes on Google.
As soon as you Google them, it's there. But they do have a history of running criminals, so that's that's a whole nother.
John, I warned you before our stream yesterday or the other day that if you crossed me, I would turn into the biggest bitch you've ever met in your life. And dude, your lack of integrity on this stream, I swear to God, your absolute lack of intellectual integrity, you do not deserve any respect or consideration at all.
But in retrospect, looking back on it, I actually think that I could have had a good year with a lot of the Mises people that I talked to and met, because we really, I feel like I did hit it off with some of them, and we had a good start. But it was really attacking the Moulton maneuver that drove that wedge, and whether that was on purpose or not, it worked, because when they started talking about these just being dog catcher roles and we need positions with teeth, I mean, that was a really good way to piss me off.
Wait. So Jen's argument is that dog catcher is such a critical role that we shouldn't even be trying to elect libertarians to to positions in contested races? Is that what her argument is? Is that dog catcher is so fucking critical that we just need to keep electing libertarians to dog catcher positions without having meetings and strategizing and organizing to actually elect them to contested races? And that's the thing she's pissed off about, that the Mises Caucus actually wants to try to run elections that are like contested races instead of dog catcher. And again, I don't have any problem with dog catcher. I have no problem with uncontested running in uncontested races. It's a smart thing to do. But the fact that your fucking line in the sand is they want to take this more seriously and organize, and they want to bring new voters into the party. How dare they? How dare they?
So, because I'm a township auditor myself, and I know how much work it is, and I know how much, it gives to my community. Unfortunately, I'm no longer a registered libertarian, so you can strike me from those roles. But, I served as
no longer a registered libertarian. Cares so much about getting libertarians into elected positions. Cares so much about that she is now no longer a registered libertarian because she lost. Couldn't have cared that much in the first place, I'm going to say.
Libertarian auditor for 5 years. And they are the most important people in the party. These, like, if you don't start with these small elections, where do you start, right?
John, this is the point. Someone talking about systemic racism all the time like it's a real thing and not knowing who Ibram X. Kendi is like a Mormon not knowing who Joseph Smith is. That's how important Ibram X. Kendi is to that entire fucking movement. You don't know who the central figure of your entire fucking movement is. And you want to complain. Excuse me, I'm yelling a lot. You want to complain about the fact that they didn't vet Darrell Brooks well enough, but you don't know who the central figure in the whole fucking anti-racism movement is? Okay, yeah, I definitely take you seriously. Sean, we're gonna see what he did later in the stream. We're gonna see what he did. You do, dude. You do actually base your ideology around Ibram X. Kendi. You just don't know it because you haven't done the bare minimum of research into what you're talking about. You absolutely do base your ideology on Ibram X. Kendi's work. You 100% do. You just haven't done the research to know it. My God.
We're building our bench, and everybody in my township would call me and ask me what the libertarian position on things were. I have a good relationship with both the Democrats and the Republicans. So, and people in all of these roles get a lot of work done and make us more visible, and they'll go on to win larger races someday as long as they're supported. So I think that by attacking that and saying that, none of this was important and we were wasting money on it, that was a really, really good way to divide, me and them. And it worked.
I've always thought it was interesting how the LPPA is considered one of, if not the most successful affiliates in the country. And Mises still put so many resources into trying to take it over. I know there was the alternate event they had in 2021 where they paid their speakers to come speak over the speakers that were at the convention. It seems odd that if it's really about like maximizing the potential of the party, that they would put so many resources into an affiliate that already seems relatively successful.
Yeah, I mean, it's just how you measure success, I guess. I mean, they don't think the things that we were doing were worthwhile. One of the things that when I came in,
well, it seems as though if you're only running uncontested races, it seems to me they could still do those things. It seems to me that running people in uncontested races is actually not rocket science. I'm just going to venture a guess.
that I wanted to do was win more elections and have legal counsel available to people when they went through ballot challenges to be able to tell them this is worth hiring a lawyer or not or whatever. And we've done that. You know, and that's another thing to look at. You know, we left.
Hang on, I was muted. Sorry. John, you specifically called yourself an anti-racist, and you have no idea who the guy is that wrote a book called How to Be an Anti-Racist. The seminal book on this fucking topic of anti-racism. Okay.
Mises with, I don't know, like $45,000 in the bank, like 110,000 in receipts this past year, 208 elected officials, about 1,600 members. I mean, everybody will need to watch and see where that goes under, you know, their watch and if they can keep it up, because it does take, you know, constant effort. Is vice chair and as chair, I would put at least 2 hours a day into the job. I really liked being a vice chair a lot more than I liked being chair. Chair, I just felt like I had to like set aside an hour to listen to people complain every day. And there were some people where it's like, okay, you've already wasted so much of my time that I'm not taking your calls anymore.
Yeah. Sean says in the chat, the pressure is now on the LPPA to outperform them, and I bet they will knock it out of the park. I mean, Jen herself has said that the Mises Caucus took it more seriously than she did. The Mises Caucus had meetings and cared about agendas and things like that. So it seems to me as though the faction that took it more seriously is actually in charge, and I bet you they will outperform just like the LPNH has. Exactly.
You know. So, I mean, it's just the way it was at the end. I mean, there were definitely things that I could have done better. I'll never ever in my life even blink at facing down a hostile boardroom though. Because I've done it. I've been there and like I survived it. So like it can't get much worse.
Stunning and brave.
In my career.
Stunning and brave.
So knowing what you know about like the internal structure of the party and what it takes to run a state party, do you think they're going to be successful in running the LPPA and even the party at large?
I think that it's going to be very difficult. You know, one of the biggest.
Well, I do like and appreciate that they're now already acknowledging that the Mises Caucus will be running the party at large come May. That's a good sign. It's a sign that they're making their way through the morning stages of losing, and they've maybe even started to reach the acceptance stage. So maybe Reno won't be such a shock for them because, you know, they've already had some mourning, maybe gone through you know, disbelief and bargaining and all of the other stages, and they're moving into the acceptance stage. It's a positive sign. It's a sign of maturity.
You know, things that I think about right now, you know, this week afterwards is the fact that, you know, Kevin left, I left. They had 5 months to ask us what our day-to-day looked like, and nobody did. There's going to be a lot of reinventing the wheel going on right now. I think that the LP goes through cycles like this. I don't think this is the first time. And I think that's why it's so important that I get on and give these interviews, because there have been plenty of times where they've started to build something beautiful. And then
why do you even care about the LP anymore, Jen? You are not a registered member of the Libertarian Party anymore, as you've already said on this stream. You left the party.
It's all crashed back down. You know, I think that things are going to slow. You know, I hope that they hit the ground running and are able to raise the funds that we did and, you know, get people on the ballot. It's not as easy as, you know, people think it is, though. It's a lot of dedication and work. And, you know, I think that they'll have more success than some people are giving them credit for. But I don't know that they're going to be able to, you know, bring themselves up to the level that we were at when we stepped away very quickly. I mean, there's a learning curve, especially when.
Yes, Sam is making an excellent point. So under her leadership, she felt it was more important to win uncontested races rather than, hang on. Sorry, I start to cough every time I start to talk, apparently. So under her leadership, she felt it was more important to win uncontested elections rather than to educate, promote, and cultivate a volunteer base. Sounds like her priorities were off. I think that is a extremely salient point.
When you're, you know, starting from scratch.
What do you think their end game is? Like, are they going to be trying to win
actually do
little
things?
local elections, or is this just kind of like a
They don't.
platform for them?
I think it's a platform. I don't know that the elections are as important. I think that they're more into like protest.
Okay, these people will talk all day, every day about how the Mises Caucus are just Republican plants. When it seems to me like they really think that people perceive the Libertarian fucking Party to be more of a grifting platform than they do the Republican Party. Let me tell you what, I could have grifted on the Republicans all day, every day. It wasn't even hard. All you need to do to grift off of the Republican Party and make a boat ton of money is just say patriot, 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 to use all their talking points, never never criticize them, never give them any constructive feedback. Just say their talking points over and over and over and over and over again and say patriot, 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 patriot. And conservatives will open up their wallet and give you as much money as you can possibly want. It is extremely easy to grift off the Republican Party. And so I find it a little bizarre when people like this run around saying, all these people just left the Republican Party to use the Libertarian Party as their platform. Are you shitting me? You want to talk about like self-awareness? The Libertarian Party doesn't even register for people. It is not really possible to grift in the Libertarian Party. But you guys really think that people are giving up grifting in the Republican Party, which is like the easiest thing in the world, to come grift on the Libertarian Party as though that gives them a much bigger platform? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, and just shows that these people have absolutely no idea what the Republican Party is actually doing and what it actually means to be a grifter. My God.
And education and things that I don't consider political party work, but I guess they do. It seems to me that you would be better in some other kind of an organization if you were trying to do that kind of stuff. But
right, because there's there's Students for Liberty, there's I guess YAL. There's so many different organizations out there already that, yeah, why don't you leave the political party thing to people that want to do political party things, which is get people elected?
Because you've already literally admitted in this stream that you don't take it seriously. She's already said in this stream that she doesn't take it as seriously as the Mises Caucus. So don't front as though this is some noble mission for her. As soon as she knew she was going to lose, she left the fucking party. That's how seriously she took it. That's how seriously she took getting libertarians elected. She lost. She left the party.
Try to, take over a political party and not get people elected when you can go invest your time in Students for Liberty or something like that. Like, yeah, what's the point? It just seems so silly that there are people that view the LP as it should be a messaging platform when that's not what political parties do.
No, the political part, and that was something that I always said, is it should be the candidates. Like, you can go up to an 8 out of 10 edgy when it comes to the candidates, but when it's the party, it's got to be like a 4. Because I'll give the example of where I learned this, right? It was Arvin Vohra and the, soldiers are moralist murderers thing. The XCOM, I was not on the XCOM at the time, but the XCOM of our party came out with a resolution against this because our Eastern Vice Chair was, a recent vet, and he they decided that that these words don't represent us, and the membership went ballistic. About 30 or 40% of them was like, the XCOM doesn't speak for me. How dare they put this out on LPPA letterhead? It was not worth the internal battle. Like, it made it 10 times worse for the XCOM to take a side on that. Whereas if a candidate would have said it, that this does not represent me, it would have been different. So, I agreed with them. I don't like hearing that kind of stuff out of leadership. But, that's the problem, is that, so you've got the one side who is freaking out because the party, or somebody, in leadership of the party said this horrible thing. And you've got the other side freaking out because the party stood up against it. It just escalates the flame wars. That's why the party shouldn't be messaging. Neither side of that was a good scene. So I really took that to heart, watching other people's mistakes. And, as chair, I wasn't going to go out there and put out, a statement about COVID, because I was going to piss somebody off no matter what I said.
No, that's true. So as far as the governor race goes right now, are they going to actually have a candidate? Or I know there was the NOTA at the actual convention. I've kind of heard conflicting things about whether they can put someone in there now.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, they cannot put someone in there. I think it's pretty clear that the convention chose NOTA, and that was a choice. They are, of course, using their, their interpretations, which, are sometimes quite strange. And I guess they're going to nominate someone. Hopefully it flies under the radar.
Wait.
Everybody's talking about it a lot. It could be challenged.
So now she's upset that they're going to nominate someone for governor because it's not the candidate she wanted it to be. It's like, they don't want to win elections. They don't want to win elections. They don't want to win elections. And then they're like, oh, but they didn't want our candidate for governor, and now they've got an alternate process to nominate someone else. Oh, the horror of them running someone for governor that you guys don't approve of.
And these people could lose the ballot. They may go to court and they may win. It's a toss-up. If I would have been at that convention and I was giving advice, I would have told them that they needed to put somebody in that slot. That person can drop out next week, and then the board is within their right, but you needed to have a placeholder.
Well, what a shame, Jen, that you didn't even bother to show up to the convention, because you could have given that advice. Not that they probably would have listened to you anyway, but if you want to talk about it's such a shame that I wasn't at the convention to give such good advice. I was getting a massage instead. Ha ha ha.
Instead of NOTA would have been the proper procedure to make sure that you were going to be in compliance with our bylaws in nominating someone. But they've got the mess that they've got now, unfortunately. Even more.
Oh, apparently Heiss announced that they do have a governor and a lieutenant governor candidate. Fantastic. Problem seems to be solved. But it's not the candidate, I'm going to guess, Sean, that they wanted, so they're going to continue to complain about it on the internet. Oh, they don't want to win elections. They just want to nominate their friends.
More egregious to me sounds like the way the delegates were chosen. Like, people signed up on a sheet and they said they were taking the first 49, but they didn't. They had a whole separate list that they accepted.
They didn't say that. They didn't say
is
that.
How it's been described to me.
Sight
but again, I wasn't there.
It was not accepted sight unseen. They put the list up on the fucking projector. It was not accepted sight unseen. That is a bold-faced lie. They put the list up on a projector, the convention voted for it, and they lost again. And so now they have to make up lies about why they lost. It was not sight unseen. It was on the goddamn screen in front of the entire convention.
So a pre-planned list?
Yeah. That's what I hear.
And was that list mostly or predominantly Mises?
It's all Mises. Yeah.
And that's another thing, is that can even be questioned because of the out-of-state delegates who voted on it. So, they were not legal electors in the state of Pennsylvania. But I'm not going to fight those battles. I'm not going to sue.
Jen is wrong, because even if you removed every single out-of-state delegate, the Mises Caucus still would have won handily. It wasn't even close. And that was the state party that she was presiding over. That was her state party. Yeah, exactly. 80% of the delegates voted for the list. It would not have made one bit of difference. Yeah, Sam says, so she's complaining about things not being run per the bylaws. I wonder whose job it was to ensure that. Oh, wait, it was hers. It was hers. And she decided to go get a massage and to not show up. Exactly. George says you were there. She wasn't. Well, not only that, I broadcasted the convention was broadcasted on public access TV. She could have tuned in. She could have seen it displayed on the screen. A lot of you guys saw that on Friday. This is not like some big mystery. They put it on the screen.
Party I used to belong to, or I just don't have any interest in that. But things are, toxic enough right now that I wish them luck, because, there's just a lot of stuff that's out there brewing.
Do you think there's a good chance they'll end up running into some kind of challenges from
Oh, probably,
Okay,
probably. If not internal, then the Republicans will jump on that. They don't want us splitting their vote. I mean, it's just all of this is a liability, and it's so heartbreaking because so many people put in so much work to
It's
this
so
stuff to,
heartbreaking that she left the
lose,
party and got a
on
massage.
court
She's
case.
so heartbroken that she
That's
admits she didn't even
every
take it
year when
seriously.
it's challenge week for ballot access. That's like the worst week, and I grieve with every one of those candidates every year. So I'm glad to be stepping away from it because it's really a roller coaster. It's funny because I don't talk about my emotions about stuff very often, and as a woman in politics, you really can't. But one
You're
of the
not
things
in
that I've
politics
noticed
anymore. You
recently
left the
is out of
party.
the new leadership, some of the stuff they say to people, like if I would have said that, they would have called me emotionally unstable.
Do you have any examples, or is that kind of like a confidential thing?
It's not confidential. You've stuff like you've turned this thing I was trying to work on into a pile of shit. Like I couldn't say stuff like that. Like I would not. That would be from a woman. That would be seen as an outburst. So I just look at it and shake my head because.
So Sean is in the chat. Sean is in the LPNH. Sean, have you guys ever called me an emotional woman for basically telling you guys to fuck off in any of the groups that we talk about? I mean, I've never really been that bold, but I've definitely questioned some decisions that have been made. I just want confirmation that as a woman in the Libertarian Party that has absolutely questioned some of the men in not too uncertain terms when I don't agree with them, I have never been called out on being emotional or having an emotional reaction. That has literally never happened. I'm just saying. What we do is we disagree. Sometimes there's a little bit of a spat. We go into our respective corners. We come back later. We apologize and we work it out. That's what happens. God. Like women like this give all women a bad name. Women like this make excuses about, I can't say this because I'm a woman. No, you're not saying it because you're a coward, Jen. You're not saying it because you are a coward. And because you can't stand up to criticism. Yeah, exactly. We fight over the issues sometimes. It doesn't get personal. We have disagreements. We hash it out. Sometimes people apologize and sometimes they don't, and we all move on with life. Because the commitment to the goal is more important than like any petty spats.
I mean, it does exist.
But no one has ever called me overly emotional for questioning their leadership or questioning their ideas. That is so ridiculous.
So in terms of what people who aren't in the Mises Caucus should do, I know you left the party.
Mm-hmm.
For the people that are there, do you think resisting the Mises Caucus takeover is worth it, or is it better to pursue activism?
I think it's better for you guys to just leave.
I think that you should focus on your county. If your county isn't overrun, keeping your county strong, I think that they're going to weather this. Because like I said, it's cyclical. Like, these things come.
But Jen, you left. You left. How can you in good conscience tell people that you can just weather the storm and just focus on you left the party, Jen. You're not following your own good advice, so why should anyone listen to you? I think you guys should all just leave. Go join the Green Party. Go do something else. Why don't you guys just stage your own takeover of the Green Party? The Green Party's not really doing much of anything. Why don't you guys just stage a takeover of the Green Party and GTFO? Everyone will be happier. We will be happier. You will be happier. People in the Green Party might not be happier because, they would lose. But I just don't understand why we can, this can be a win-win scenario. You guys can have your own progressive leftist party. We can have the Libertarian Party, which is more like our speed anyway. And everyone can be happy. I just don't know why this can't be worked out.
And go. And, people will lose interest and move on. If you have a good county, keep your county strong, run your local candidates. If your county is overrun, like mine is, and, they're people I would really rather not ever see again as long as I live, work on something else.
Listen, she wants to complain about being called an emotional woman, but she is literally saying she left the party because there were too many people in it that she didn't like. She is the definition of being an emotional woman. Ew, people that I don't like are running the party and I can't have any influence and I can't have power. Ew. That's an emotional decision. If you actually cared about the party and you actually cared about focusing on your county level stuff and you actually cared about getting people elected, then you wouldn't have left the party. You literally made an emotional decision and then complained about how women are only seen as emotional leaders. People like you give women a bad name, Jen.
I used to be the director of a crisis pregnancy center in town, and I did a lot of welfare to work type initiatives. And, I know that I helped improve people's lives. Like, I helped them get jobs and move up and get off government assistance. And I did more probably for those people than I did in my 5 years with the LP. So, wherever you decide to contribute to your community, there's going to be good work that can be done. But if you really wanted,
Julius is making a great point in the chat, and Julius was one of the people who was not convinced about this when this stream started. He says she should have done her job correctly and people wouldn't have been hostile towards her. That is exactly correct. No one would have been hostile towards her had she shown up and done the job correctly and not been a raging bitch and not run away crying and not be like, I'm going to go get a massage. She might have even earned some points back. Who knows?
to do the political angle. A lot of what you want to do can be done without the party as well, with the exception of nominations. You can just focus on a candidate that you believe in, or, there's definitely ways to go about it where, if there's people that you don't really feel comfortable associating with or sharing space with, stay around and wait it out. There may be a time where I come back, depending on the lay of things, but I don't think it'll be in the next few years.
I might start to believe in the Libertarian Party
if you
again.
thought there's any chance it could be salvageable in the future, because
So basically what she's saying is when the Mises Caucus shits the bed and they fail at everything, then maybe, just maybe, I will grace the Libertarian Party with my presence yet again. That's what she's saying. Maybe when there's a chance that I can get back into a position of power that I will totally abdicate all responsibility for if the going gets tough, then maybe I will grace you with my presence again and we can continue to run in entirely uncontested elections, because that's the only thing I know how to win is an uncontested election.
I've kind of wondered if, because since they haven't been in power in most states, they've had something to fight against and they've had someone to blame whenever something goes bad. But I have the feeling that once they're actually if they do a full takeover of the party and the party either doesn't improve or gets worse, they're really not going to have anyone to blame but themselves. I think they might lose interest.
They're already blaming, me and, the former leadership. I keep seeing former leadership comments. It's amazing to walk into a room and have people staring you daggers like they hate you and you've never met them. It's just unreal, the level of
Really? Tell me about that, Jen. Let's just all keep this in mind, because I have never spoken to this woman in person at all. Let's just keep it in mind that she's like, it is just amazing to walk into a room and to have people hate you that have never talked to you, because this woman is going to talk shit about me later in this podcast, be like, I never want to even be around that woman, when she's never met me. She's never had a conversation with me. She's never even had made any attempt. I was literally a member of her party. I was a member of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania for almost a year under her leadership. And she's going to talk shit about me later in this podcast, when at the same time being like, it is just so odd to have people who you've never even spoken to talk shit about you and stare at you with daggers in their eyes. Oh, really, Jen? Really? Tell me more. Tell me more, you fucking hypocrite.
Aggression that is going on these days. But they're already, talking about how we're not helping them and, how we abandon everybody. And it's I just don't understand the sense of entitlement. This is a volunteer job. You are not entitled to my time or energy. And quite frankly, I gave you more of it than you ever deserved. So,
Such
at this
a leader.
point,
Such a
I
leader.
would like to maybe get a PhD. It's time to focus on my career. I've been in my current job for, about 4 years. It's probably time to like move up to the next stage. I work in healthcare finance. I manage a team that does billing, customer service.
I bet she's a horrible boss.
But, it's time to look into those things and focus on my family. And, from there, I've had several liberty organizations reach out to me and ask me to get involved. And, I may take one of them up on it. But, for right now, I just know that there's people that I don't want to associate with. Like, I don't want, to walk in the room and have people yelling corruption,
It's funny because they...
Go on, Jeremy.
Okay, yeah, it's funny because they haven't even updated the website yet.
Oh, no. Is my picture still on there?
Everybody's, yep.
Oh, no.
Yeah, everybody's still.
They
haven't updated.
Yeah, everybody's still up there.
They haven't updated the website yet. Oh no! A website has been unupdated. She literally says in this podcast they took this more seriously than I did, and now she's complaining that they haven't updated a fucking website yet. My God, have some priorities, dude.
They haven't even managed to update the website. It's just
our IT guy is wonderful, and I'm sure that he's got a lot on his plate. It's been his committee has really been under a lot of scrutiny lately because there's a lot of asks that people have of him, and some of them are not quick. So, they're things they're working on, but they're projects that, maybe 2 or 3 months out, and, everybody's all about instant gratification. So But yeah, it's I wrote kind of my experiences as chair, and I sent that to the correct groups, and I wrote up my, reasons why I didn't chair the convention, and, put that out into the world. And
because
I
you wanted
interviewed
to get a
David
massage
Valente before I stepped down. And now I'm talking with you guys. I think it's important to get the other side of the story out into the room. Or out into the world, because a lot for
I just want you guys to note that this live stream had 16 views. She's really reaching hearts and minds with the 16 views of the Fakertarians.
the longest time it's just been them. I have not really responded to them, calling me corrupt and, spreading all of these, blatant lies, because I didn't want to escalate it. I didn't want to give them any hate to monetize.
Yeah, Archie's been saying
so
a
I
grand
just
total
kept
of
my
nothing.
head down and kept working.
Exactly.
Whereas you see, my friends over in the Cathedral group, they escalate it. And
Archie's
it just,
basically fucking around
but then
on
it's
Twitter.
just going back and forth and tit for tat, and an eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind, right? So yeah, they love to peg me with the Cathedral crowd, and a lot of them are my friends. I was in the chat around the time that we that I was elected, because they were whipping votes for me, and I asked to be added back into the chat again, right before this convention, because I was curious about the plans. So for the most of the time I was not in there, but I do keep tabs with those guys. So, anybody who thinks I'm dishonest about that or whatever, there you have it. I have, I have been in their chat group, and, am right now. So,
Archie is contributing as much to this podcast as he contributed to the Libertarian Party of Vermont.
But, that doesn't, make me an admin on the page or anything.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Sam volunteers as the chair of the party and upset that it requires her time and that she has to talk to people she doesn't want to talk to. Boo-hoo, too bad, so sad. You shouldn't have run for chair of the party. You abdicated your responsibility. Guys, mount that like button if you're enjoying the stream. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Do you think there are Mises members in Pennsylvania that are kind of going to see what goes on once they take over and maybe think twice about it, or you think the group think it's so strong?
There's already people who have been given orders that they weren't comfortable with or disagreed on something.
Oh,
were
please.
removed,
Receipts,
just within
please.
the past few weeks.
Receipts,
that, have
please.
kind of come and said, we're sorry. That's the thing.
Wait, how could it have been in the last few weeks? The convention happened a week ago. The convention happened a week ago today. It wasn't even over a week ago today. There was still a Sunday session. How has this been happening the last couple of weeks? That is just patently not true. Provably not true.
I think everybody is so in their echo chambers that they don't really like. I mean, I got a lot of support for deciding not to chair the convention. Like a lot of people reached out to me and said, "Thank you for not putting
Yes,
yourself through
you
that."
are stunning and brave.
You know, people that I didn't expect to hear from.
They were so supportive of Jen's decision to go get a massage instead of doing her job and chairing the convention that they didn't even bother to show up to convention either. Isn't it funny how that works?
I mean, the same goes for them. I think that they're in their echo chamber. They think that nobody has any criticism of them. And the problem is when we do try to get together and talk, it's like such a shit show that like it's not even like I mean, I'm not going to spend my precious time sitting in a chat where everybody berates each other. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that people will go both ways, like they always have. You know, people have dropped out of the more pragmatic group and gone over there too. I mean, it ebbs and flows, but I don't think that this level of intensity and this level of outrage is going to be sustainable. I mean, it just
You guys
isn't,
are the
and they're
ones
gonna
with
have
all
to
the
find a new
outrage. It's not
boogeyman now
us. We're
because, like,
cool.
after this interview, I don't really have anything scheduled.
Oh, really?
You know, they can call. I mean, they can.
You don't say, Jen. After this important and hard news interview with the Fakertarians, you don't have anything else on your calendar? Oh, I'm shocked. I am shocked at that revelation.
Call me whatever they want to. I said that in my last statement. Call me whatever you want to, but just stop calling me. So, I mean, the people, and I when I say that, it doesn't mean that like if a candidate or someone who needs my help on something or needs advice to look at their papers or whatever, if they need me, I will be happy to advise them. But I just kind of want to be the ghost in the machine. I don't want to have any visibility with this party right now because it's just, I mean, there are some really terrible people that I
She's
don't want to
such a committed
associate with.
libertarian, isn't she? So
Yeah, it's
committed to the
understandable.
cause.
Yep.
So we've talked mostly about the Pennsylvania state party so far, but in terms of national, how do you, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question, but how do you feel about the potential 2024 ticket of Dave Smith and Maj Touré?
I mean, I think it's awful. I think that's a good way to destroy the party. I just like it's hard for me to fathom anyone thinking that those are good candidates. I mean, if that's what the
As opposed to Joe Jorgensen and Gary Johnson and Bill Weld, is that what we're talking about now? Yeah, you guys, we can really do worse. We can really do worse than the people that you guys have put up.
LP is I'm not a libertarian, which I've come to terms with. So it's I mean, I just can't imagine running those two with the type of discourse and some of the history of debating the nuances of things that are just quite frankly awful. I don't know. I feel like the entire world's gone insane.
Does feel that way sometimes.
Because it has.
Yep.
It has.
You're not alone in that feeling.
Archie, do you want to weigh in with anything?
Well, okay, sure. I will echo some of her thoughts regarding being chair in a situation like that. I'm not going to do any kind of deep dive into the Vermont LP right now because it's...
Archie didn't do anything in the Vermont LP. Archie shut off membership in the Vermont LP because he was so scared of the Mises Caucus getting members and taking over the party that he literally stopped allowing people to join the Libertarian Party of Vermont. And because of that, he was collectively removed from his position by the rest of the Libertarian Party of Vermont, many of whom were not even Mises Caucus. They were just pissed off that Archie was running the party into the ground and not allowing them to do anything.
Still an ongoing situation, but
it's not an ongoing situation, Archie.
When you said certain things about how they treat you, it's like, yep, I have felt those same stab wounds in my back.
You shut off membership to the party.
They demanded a separate rule book for their opponents and for themselves, and it's blatant, and they don't care.
Exactly.
They show up with their own agenda. Like they have their own agenda for everything.
Yes. Archie never talks about the details of what happened and the fact that he refused to allow people to join the party or even call meetings. Even Julian says there are like 3 Mises Caucus members in all of Vermont. Archie was voted out of chair of the Mises Caucus, or not a Mises Caucus, of the Libertarian Party of Vermont, purely because he was incompetent in the role and the party was about to lose its status in Vermont. Please, Julian, correct me if I'm wrong about that. Archie ran the Libertarian Party of Vermont so well that the party was literally about to lose party status.
They try to organize counties on their own, and they miss vital steps by circumventing the procedure that we have in place. And then they're mad at you about it. Like, they're, why do we have to do it your way? It's like, well, I mean, that county didn't get the resources they need, and they didn't turn in what they needed to turn in because, you didn't, we would have helped you. Like, we're here to help you, but you're not letting us. Yeah, showing up with, the side agenda.
Julian confirms. No, that is correct. Ballot access was threatened, and we were banking on a dubious exception by the Secretary of State. If Archie had been left in charge of the Libertarian Party of Vermont, they would have lost ballot access.
Agenda every single time. It was everything you can do to undermine leadership. And then it was like, see, this is why we deserve a better chair. Robert's rules was not meant to fight a civil war. It was meant for groups of people who want to accomplish things together, right?
Yeah.
Well, can any set of bylaws really do that, though?
No, I think that the LP structure is just systematically flawed in such a way that I don't know that it can be helped. I don't think there's ever going to be the will to do the restructure that we actually would need to have to be a successful organization. That is kind of the sunk fallacy cost for me too. I know that many before me have said that. I don't think within our current structure there's any hope.
Yeah, it seems very vulnerable to a takeover, which we're seeing right now.
And I wonder how many of those people who show up, at a convention and, are loud and belligerent, are actually going to show up to do the work later. That's been another thing. We've had a lot of county takeovers.
Again. She talks about she's literally said in this podcast, they take this more seriously than me. They organize, they have meetings, they stay after the meeting to discuss what happened at the meeting and what to do next. And in the very same breath, she will say, these people don't take it seriously and they aren't going to show up and do any work. It's like, do these people not understand that they are literally contradicting themselves within the same breath?
And there was only one time that I got involved, and that was because I had a credible threat of disaffiliation on the table, where they reopened an adjourned meeting and had a meeting where they elected officers and chose bylaws without any notice. And so I went to the county and I said, for the love of God, please hold a proper meeting and do this.
Hang on. Sidebar. Nat D says, have you guys ever watched Riverdale? They're talking about Betty versus Veronica in the chat. I watched the first couple of seasons of it, and Riverdale was solid, man. I don't know what happened after the first couple seasons because I stopped watching it, but the first couple seasons were solid, and I definitely recommend it, and I kind of want to go back and watch it now.
Internally, so that it doesn't have to come before the state board, because I don't want to preside over a disaffiliation motion. And they actually did the right thing, and they did it. A couple of people who were there laughed in my face, Mr. Heiss among them. But the county did decide to do what was right, and they're very bitter that I showed up and asked them that. But the LPPA is just like the LNC, where we don't have any. It's disaffiliation or nothing, right? There's no other. But there were plenty of other counties where they would reach out to me and they'd be like, Jen, this, all of the normal suspects, right? This group of belligerent, loud Mises people rolled up into our county for our officer elections and argued with us about our local documents and bylaws and with
You mean to say that the Mises people who do no work and don't take it seriously actually know more about your local bylaws than you do? Oh, too bad, so sad, Jen.
Crazy interpretations that don't make any sense, and tried to steamroll the process. And I'm like, there's not really anything the state can do. That's you guys have to handle it.
Dragon water. I don't know if we can be friends again. Riverdale is horrible if you're actually a fan of the art. I used to love the Archies. You have to take it don't take come on. You have to appreciate it in the way that it is intended. I disagree. Oh my God, they were loud. They disagreed with me. How dare they? I'm surprised that Jen did not wear pearls to this interview because she'd be clutching them the whole fucking way.
I mean, it happened in a lot of places, and in a lot of places they were successful with the tactic, and then they immediately, changed the bylaws in such a way that it was, more takeover proof. So, we saw a lot of them go that way, and it's really, really sad because some of our most successful affiliates are just like empty shells now because of that kind of stuff.
You mean
the activists have wandered off
again?
or-
They knew your bylaws better than you did. They followed the established process in order to change the rules to protect the integrity of the party because they knew the bylaws better than you did. And you're upset about it because you lost. That's what's really going on.
I'm telling you what, before in the past few weeks, we have lost our chair of membership, finance, the judicial chair step down, membership, finance, judicial, legislative action step down, our Eastern vice chair and Western vice chair both resigned, our executive director resigned. We've had multiple
Hang on. The Eastern and Western vice chair both resigned and were immediately replaced. They resigned at the convention. They were immediately replaced. My God.
Chairs resign. We actually had 2 other people on the JC resign. I mean, it just like...
And then new people were elected. Oh, the horror. Oh, her sound went out. This is where I come in. This is where I'm in the chat. They're going to start responding to me here in a second.
Jen, it sounds like your mic became unplugged or something.
Put subtitles on. Well, this is awkward. So anyway, we're talking about a libertarian
I can't hear you.
Her awful sound finally caught up with her.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, we lost. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can give us hand signals or something, and we can just how to use those flags.
You can see the competence.
She can obviously hear us. So
yeah, it went out. It went out like mid sentence.
She's been hacked by Russians.
The mic is not connected. So yeah, the computer lost.
Try turning it off and turning it on again.
now
she
she just left.
Yeah, looks like she'll try to.
Hilditch, how are you?
I'm good. As I said in the chat,
it seems like it almost seems like Hilditch is the one who took her mic out because Hilditch pops in and then 15 seconds later she's muted.
That's definitely it.
I didn't have one, so I thought I'd borrow hers.
Let's just blame Hilditch because that's the perfect way to do it.
May I take it all day long? You can blame everything on me.
John, the batshit crazy lady is in the comments.
The batshit crazy lady, that's me.
Which one's that? Who?
I call her Karen. It's a term of endearment.
They're so misogynist, aren't they?
And above that comment, oh no, not Hilditch. Yeah, hello, Zach. I'm back.
Let's see if Jen's gonna come back in.
Are you asking a question about optics, Carlin?
No.
Is that a question about optics?
No, Archie. I was not asking a question about optics. I was asking a question about leadership and showing up to do the job that you were elected to do. That is the fact that Archie thinks that fulfilling the responsibilities of your elected office is just about optics is all the evidence you need about why these people should never be allowed to hold leadership positions ever again. I'm sure that Archie really thinks that the fact that he was removed from the chair of the Libertarian Party of Vermont was just a question of optics and not a reflection of the fact that he refused to let new members join the party and his leadership almost resulted in them losing ballot access. It is not a question of optics, Archie. It is a question of fucking leadership and doing the job that you were elected to do for a position that you voluntarily ran for. That is what it is a question of. My God.
Optics, because that looks like optics to me, which you said you didn't care about.
Why doesn't Colin join us right now? Or are you a coward, Colin? Would you like to join us?
No, I'll just react to
on,
your
I'll give you a
stream
stream
in
Going
my
from
role.
Jen to Carlin would be quite the.
That'd be an interesting eepisode.
Oh, that would be it. That would be
Hey, get you fuckers
that would be
way
a
too many
trip. I
views
am
on
not
your
high
channel.
enough for that.
Neither am I.
Okay, let me send Jen a message and see if she's coming back in or not.
And then we can send a message to Colin.
You guys talk amongst yourselves
You
for a second in
wish.
case anyone's
You
still
guys
watching.
wish I would
I
join your
I
stream.
don't want to
we got
get
You
We got 90 people
fucking
watching.
wish.
Billy Bob and Colin. That would be an interesting episode.
They want me to join their stream. They want me to join their stream so badly. So badly. I could take all 5 of these people at once. They will never ever fucking get the opportunity because they want me to join their stream so badly. Fuck you guys. No.
I mean, I could start reading about Titanoboa again like I used to.
Yes,
We-
do it. We got to do
We
it.
could actually do.
See, they
like
do.
a
They admit it.
pay-per-view type thing.
They
with
want
just
me to
Ulrich
join
and Carlin.
so badly.
Oh
What
God,
kind
that
of-
would be. Yeah, I'd pay money for that.
Is this like the OnlyFans pay-per-view there, Archie? Or because I'm not interested in that.
Apparently, we're flailing.
Oh, hi. Thanks, Karen. We'll take your very crazy opinion into careful consideration as we write it down here and throw it in a furnace.
I have to say, Colin, you say that we don't know how to run a stream, but you are watching us.
Jen is back.
Oh, Jen's back? Okay.
Yes.
Now, I want everyone to remember that earlier in the stream, Jen, who I have never met and have never spoken to, was like, it is so awkward to have people that you have never met look at you with daggers in their eyes. Let's just all keep that in mind. And remember the ironclad law of woke projection as we move into this little segment.
Yay! Welcome back.
Welcome back, Jen.
Is that the Hitler went to heaven lady?
Yes, that's the best insane lady.
Yeah. She's,
I'm
she's
sorry,
calling
but
us cowards.
there's something about her. I'm just like, I do not like you at all. Like, I barely interact with you, but I don't like you.
I've never met her, and I hope I never do.
But it's so bad when people you've never met just look at you with daggers in their eyes. Isn't it, Jen? Isn't it? It's okay, honey. We're never going to meet because you have no power anymore. Your influence is gone. You have no relevance in my world at all, except to rip you apart on this stream for taking a job. Not just taking a job, but proactively running and campaigning for a job that you had no desire to do so that you could win uncontested elections and then pretend that's some sort of fucking achievement.
I
I
had
think
an
my
interesting conversation with her the other day, I will
Did
say.
ya?
But
I think my power flipped on and off. We're getting like a pretty bad winter storm here, so
Oh my.
it hardly ever snows in Pennsylvania. My kids and I actually volunteered in animal rescue, and we had to go out this morning. And the roads were actually bad. And I say that being originally from West Michigan, so if I say they were bad, they were actually bad.
I'm originally
Being
from Connecticut, now I'm down in Florida, so it's a little bit of a difference.
a
But
little bit of a difference.
Yeah, you complain when it gets down to 60 degrees now. So
I do.
Yeah,
So you're getting a question, Jen. Colin wants
Sure.
to know why you're such a coward.
I
Even though
do.
I did invite her onto the podcast and she ran away.
I didn't run away. You
Why
guys
I'm
blocked
such a
me in the
coward?
chat.
I don't know
Yes,
why
she
that
said in
she
the
does
comments.
that. Yeah,
She
she's
says,
continually. She's very, very like. Well, she's asking it like every 3 seconds, so we better like.
Okay, well,
I mean-
I'm going to tell you that maybe
Yeah, this is a really good point. John, you had a whole conversation with me on my stream. I'm such a coward. I'm such a coward because I don't want to go on your little YouTube channel. I am such a coward that I invited you onto my stream to have a whole conversation. Mm-hmm.
making the choice that I did took, more courage than you'll ever know.
Oh, hang on.
Um,
I want to just relive this amazing moment where Jen is saying it took a massive amount of courage to not go to the convention that I was supposed to chair. It was really an act of bravery, bravery and valor. Let's just rewind a little bit.
I say that.
Oh, hang on. AD wants to know, so these are the identitarian. No, these are not identitarians. These are SJWs. These are not identitarians. We're going to talk about what real identitarians are in a second. These are SJWs. They're not identitarians.
Being originally from West Michigan. So if I say they were bad, they were actually bad.
I'm originally from Connecticut. Now I'm down in Florida, so it's a little bit of a difference. But
a little bit of a difference.
You complain when it gets down to 60 degrees now. So
I do.
Yeah,
So
you know.
You're getting a question, Jen. Carlin wants
Sure.
to know why you're such a coward, even though I did invite her onto the podcast and she ran away. You know,
Why I'm such a coward?
I don't know why
she said in the comments.
Yeah, she's
says,
continually. She's very, very like. Well, she's asking it like every 3 seconds, so we better like.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you that making the choice that I did took, more courage than you'll ever know. It was not an easy thing to, set aside my responsibilities, but it was the right decision for me based on the liability from this party.
I was muted when I was talking about pearl clutching. I'm sorry. It was an act of bravery. An act of bravery to not do my job. It took more courage than you'll ever know. Wow. Hey, Jen, maybe sometime you should Google me and Google Carlin Borisenko, Black Lives Matter, and you can see what pops up, honey. You can see what pops up. You think you had courage because you didn't do your job to go to a fucking meeting? My God.
I am not going to put my family through it any longer. And
Stunning and
you are
brave.
owed nothing on volunteer job.
Stunning and brave.
I have served my sentence, and we had a qualified vice chair who
Wait, she served her sentence. She viewed getting elected to the position she ran for as being in jail. She literally just called it, she said, I served my sentence, as though she'd been convicted of a crime. She ran for a position. She got elected to a position. She then refused to fulfill the obligations of that position. But she is courageous and brave, just like a good little SJW.
perfectly capable and willing to take that gavel.
That sounds like the antithesis of cowardice there. Perhaps Carlin would like to come on and explain more.
Well, I mean, or maybe she's just batshit insane, like I said.
Right.
All right. Do we have anything else we want?
It was definitely a, weighing my, it was a list of pros and cons, and there were too many cons.
Yep.
Sorry, John.
Nope.
I don't believe
I get it.
It's completely understandable. I mean, yeah, I get it.
Look at the face. They're like, Jen, yes, you are stunning. You are brave. You are beautiful, Jen. We are so sorry that you were so battered by these members of your own party that you were in the elected leadership position over. How did you ever survive the whole year, Jen, of being the chair of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania with all these hooligans? It is an act of bravery. Please. My God.
Like how you said you
Statement,
served
that
your
makes
sentence and you also used the word cons. It sounds like this is a giant prison.
You know what? That's what I feel. I feel like I, was set free by not doing this.
I was set free by not doing my job. By not doing my job.
Like I said, these are not the type of people whose opinions matter to me in any way, shape, or form.
Apparently,
oh, so stunning and brave, Jen. So stunning and brave. Less than half an hour after you said, I just don't know how people who have never met me before can look at me with daggers in their eyes. And then she said, I don't care about the opinion of these people. Do you guys really not understand the hypocrisy? Jen, do you really not understand the hypocrisy? You have never met me. You have never spoken to me. After I chatted in that message that they just displayed on the screen, they blocked me from chatting in future messages. Because they'll rag on me in their little discussion group about how, Carlin, blocking is the same as cancellation. And then they block people on their fucking stream because they're little hypocritical cowards. Every single one of you, including you, John, and we're going to address this issue in a second.
Getting a massage is a bad thing? I like massages.
The massage therapist did tell me that I was very tense. So,
but I
You know
mean,
what?
and that's
She
it.
does
But
seem
that
a
is an
bit tense.
example.
Blocked me
It is an
twice.
example of
They
that
blocked me
propaganda.
twice in that
Right.
chat.
That's
What I
an
don't get is
example.
this lady has said like Hitler goes to heaven.
you know why
the
they're
fuck
mad?
is she criticizing?
You know why they're mad? Because they weren't able to make me miserable, and they weren't able to.
Honey, Have you seen your own face? Do you really think you're not miserable? Have you looked in the mirror, Jen? Do you really? You literally just described the elected office that you ran for and got into as a prison sentence. Do you really think you're not a miserable person because you didn't go to a meeting that it was your responsibility to chair? Okay. AD says, saw your BLM video. Don't they know they look like a lynch mob, like the very thing they purport not to be? I mean, maybe Jen should watch my BLM video. That would be great. Maybe Jen, as she's running her mouth about these are types of people that I just do not want to be associated with, and I am the stunning and brave one for not going to a meeting. Maybe Jen should watch the video where I was chased by an angry mob. And she wants to say that her act of bravery was not going to a meeting? Okay. Jen, you ever been chased down the street by an angry mob? It's real fun. Let me tell you that. Real fun.
You know, humiliate me by removing me and putting Ken Krawchuk in. I didn't play into their bullshit, and I, stepped away. And they can be mad, they can die mad. It's not my responsibility. I hope they're having a good time in the comments.
You know what? If they do die, they can go to heaven with Hitler.
Right.
Yes, they can.
I mean, it's just.
Do they not want to go to heaven now? Like, I want to go to heaven. I'm pretty psyched to go to heaven when I die. Not too soon. I hope I die after a long and lovely life, but seriously.
I just, I in no way feel bad about the decision that I made. It was the right decision. I weighed it. I discussed it with, everybody involved, and everybody involved was in complete agreement with me that it was the right thing to do. It really, really gets under their skin when they're not able to make me miserable. My last couple of meetings where I was just laughing at, how ludicrous the situation was, is they were like, you walk into these meetings and they're just like ready to fight, and you're looking at them like why are you taking yourself so seriously right now? That's just the place that my head's at right now. That I don't believe these people take themselves this seriously. Like, there's so much.
You literally just said in the stream earlier they take it more seriously than you do. Jen, have you smoked so much weed that you forget what you've said within the span of an hour? You literally just said earlier in the stream that they all take it way more seriously than you do, and that's why they won. And now you're saying they don't take it seriously? They won because they take it more seriously than you do. You admitted it earlier. My God. George Andre Veloso Nunez, you should get a button for that tweet. People will never let it go. Well, whatevs. Hey man, if I get to talk to people about spirituality, I'm more than happy to have that discussion. I've had amazing conversations about spirituality with people because of that tweet that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I've actually gotten to introduce people who were interested, not people who are arguing in bad faith, but who are actually interested to that belief system, and some of them are really inspired by it. And I think it's great because I think my belief system is beautiful. Yeah, Carlin did like 27 videos on the Hitler went to heaven tweet, and they won't watch any of them. They pretend. They're like, oh, I just don't understand why you said that thing. And I'm like, here are 27 videos talking about why I said that thing. They're like, but I just don't understand. I'm like, have you watched the videos? Like, but I don't understand. I was like, you can watch the videos because the videos will actually explain. They're like, no, I don't want to watch the videos. I just want to understand. Well, that's the cyclical conversation that's been happening about that goddamn tweet. It's so stupid. So stupid.
More to life, and I have a family and a career and other volunteer jobs that take precedent to the one that I just left.
So there's a comment in the
yeah, exactly. Sam, how dare people want their party to represent them? How dare they?
Another comment from Carlin I want to address real quick.
Sure.
So
yeah,
I will say. So
every time someone mentions that fucking tweet, now John Hudak and I actually had this conversation on my stream. If you go back and watch the conversation I had with him like 2 fucking days ago, he literally says, yes, Carlin, I know that you've gone after the anti-Semites. John Hudak knows the work I've done. And watch what he's going to say. When I say, when I said in a chat, excuse me, sorry. Here's where I'm waiting for John to have any integrity and talk about the work I've done against actual anti-Semites that he knows about. Let's hear what John Hudak responded to with that. Dragonwater spirituality empowers people and makes the world a better place. It sure does. Now let's see what your integrity, John, had you say. When you could have said, you know, Carlin's been getting attacked by white identitarians and anti-Semites for the better part of the last year. They've doxed her house. They've sent her multiple death threats. They brigaded her channel on for weeks at a time. They've gone after her publicly, and she's gone right back at them. She's called out real white identitarians and anti-Semites and also conservative media for lifting these people up. These are all things that John Hudak could have said that he fucking knows about. Because by his own admission on my stream, like 3 days before this, he looked into it and he found out that, yes, I had actually been going at the white identitarians. So let's look at John's answer to this and then let's talk about it, because this pissed me off more than a little bit.
I will say she is right that she has done some stuff against the gripers.
The gripers, no.
All those idiots.
Wrong
There's
answer.
other people in the party that are trying to recruit those type of people.
Wrong.
But I will give her credit where credit is due, and she doesn't like white nationalists, from what she tells me. So I guess that's
from what she tells me, she doesn't like. Okay, John. Okay, let's just get off of that screen for a second. Okay, John, these are not gripers. The people that I wrote about, that I spent a month researching in this article, that I provided ample evidence for. These are not gripers. These are not gripers at all. You knew that. So don't fucking front, dude. Don't fucking front. These people have been a thorn in my side for the last year, particularly because I call them out on their bullshit. She's just going after the gripers. These are not the same people as the gripers, dude. And if you actually knew what you were talking about, you would know that. But you don't pay close enough attention, and you're more interested in destroying your political enemy, in posting about that Holocaust tweet. I have gone at these people directly more than any of you have the balls to. John, if you're a man at all, John, try going after the white well-being movement. Try going after this white positivity movement, and you see what fucking happens. And then you ask yourself if they're the same as the gripers. Back to our show. We're about to wrap up.
But she does think Hitler's going to heaven, which,
So
she should talk to Dave Smith about it.
I was going to say.
All right, John, you do it. You go after the white well-being movement. You go after the people I wrote about in that article. And then you tell me how it goes for you. You tell me they're the same as the gripers. I'll be holding you to it, dude. It's on the internet for everyone to see now. You do it. You spend 8 hours a day for an entire fucking month investigating these people, watching all their content, figuring out how they're recruiting. You do it. See how that works out.
Okay, that's kind of who I was.
How his fellow travelers.
But the tweet! Oh my god!
And doesn't see anything wrong with him and Mr. Spencer.
Is she a Republican or is she a Libertarian? I couldn't really.
I mean, she would talk to Dave, but she needs 12 shots first. That's the only time Dave talks to women. Oof.
Oh.
The problem, John, is that they're not gripers. Those are not gripers. Those are the really bad people. The gripers are fucking college kids who are mouthing off. And yeah, some of them say some shitty things, and Nick Fuentes is not a good person. But the people that I looked into, that I called out, that have been coming after me for the better part of a fucking year, those are not gripers, dude. Those are legitimate white fucking nationalists that have been in that movement for decades. Those are not gripers. They are not the same. Yes. Go do some Googling around Westmen or white well-being or white positivity or white erasure or any of those things, and you tell me those are the same as fucking groypers.
All right.
Well, it's one of those things when you have somebody who, is, schizophrenic or, antisocial personality or something, and they're in your family, you get, you get really sucked into it. And I feel like being in the
No. What you did is say, "Hey, she had that Holocaust tweet and oh, groypers." No. I have done more to go after these people than you have. And if you actually care about this, if you actually care about being an anti-racist and fighting racism as you claim to be, you go after them. You do it. You watch what happens. Otherwise, you're a fucking coward.
LP, you get just sucked into that antisocial stuff. And when you step away and you're estranged from it, you look back at it like, why did I ever put up with that insanity? And I'm kind of looking at the LP as like my sociopathic cousin that I've been dealing with for, 5 years that, now I'm just ready. It's
Don't
like a
take a
divorce.
thing
Like,
back.
you're done. I just am ready to be estranged from this entire mess.
Oh,
Yeah.
So she's ready to be estranged from the Libertarian Party, but in a few years, when the Mises Caucus fails in everything that they're doing, then she might grace us with her presence again. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
Apparently
it's
weasel,
understandable.
John.
Apparently, I'm a weasel for giving her credit for something, but I don't know what's going on.
She goes, "Give me credit," so you give her credit, and then she's like, "Oh, you fucking weasel! You gave me credit." Hang on,
I
what's
don't.
going on here?
I will never understand reactionaries.
She
I
keeps-
love
She
the
keeps
comments
asking,
on these things. They tell me who to block.
Yes, they do.
Stunning and brave, Jen.
She keeps
Stunning and
asking when you're gonna
brave.
resign from the
Stunning and
party. I don't know
brave.
why, but she's asked
Well,
about
I mean,
400 times.
hey, Karen, if you had watched earlier, you would have an answer to that. And you know what? We're not going to answer it. You're just going to have to go and rewind the tape and figure it out.
Oh, I
Good
did,
luck.
didn't I? Oh, I
When,
did.
when I'm going to resign from the party?
Yeah, that's what she was asking.
Oh, well, when I changed my voter registration, I would have been on the board as the immediate past chair, but changing my voter registration was an effective resignation. And I did reach out to our IT guy and tell him not to move over the email and stuff. I do still have memberships with the party, which I don't, I have lifetimes with both Pennsylvania and national.
So Jen has lifetime memberships with both the Pennsylvania Libertarian Party and the National Libertarian Party, which she's refusing to resign even though she registered as a member of another party in Pennsylvania. So Jen effectively left the Libertarian Party and now is refusing to resign her lifetime memberships because she might come back someday and grace us with her presence yet again. Funny.
Don't really intend to do anything with her about those, but I am now registered as a classical liberal in Pennsylvania. And so, that's not an actual party, but I think that a few people came with me, so maybe we'll make one at some point. But yeah, I mean, I did resign from the LPPA board of directors, effectively by changing my voter registration. So that is the
Well, thank
answer.
God
She
for
doesn't
small
have to go
favors.
back and, look
Dang
at
it,
it.
I was going to make her.
Yeah.
Oh, I did
That's
anyway.
nice of you.
I didn't have any interest in being on this board when there are so many things that are being brushed under the rug that, are just real liability issues. It's just, I don't want to be involved in those decisions anymore, or because they don't have border officers.
Exactly. So basically, Jen wants credit for basically registering as a Republican, while complaining that the Mises Caucus is just all made up of Republicans, but she basically registered as a Republican. Probably because she has no idea what the Republican Party actually stands for or what it means, but basically became a Republican. Congratulations, Jen.
Insurance. I don't want to be responsible for, financial mistakes either. So I hope they sort it all out. I really do wish them the best, and I hope that everything works fine. I just don't want to be anywhere near the blast radius if it goes sideways. So.
Yeah. When it goes sideways.
Yeah.
You'll get called a weasel next. Ooh.
Okay, we have anything else we want to touch on today?
Yeah,
Anybody
I think
around?
I'm good.
I think I'm going to take an afternoon nap. I don't have to read any LP emails. I don't have to prepare any agendas. What happened? Have you guys, Archie,
Wait. Remember when she was complaining about, okay, so just a reminder. She was complaining about how the Mises Caucus was obsessed with agendas in the beginning of this stream. What happened at the Pennsylvania convention is she never prepared an agenda. There was no agenda for the convention at all. So Michael Heiss prepared one to keep business moving. She complained about that. Now she's going to complain about agendas again.
Like an agenda fetish, where like
the Mises Caucus has an agenda fetish.
Like, what were they doing with these agendas? Like, they started asking me for agendas weeks in advance. Like, no other chair ever had to deal with this. Is there an agenda yet? Is it like, what are you doing with the agenda that you need it? Like,
oh my God, the Mises Caucus wants to run meetings that actually move along and conduct business. How dare they want an agenda for the meeting? But they don't take it seriously, but they're demanding agendas to make sure that the meetings run properly, but they don't take it seriously. Jen, you really need to make up your mind on this one. Either someone takes it seriously or they don't.
A day after the last meeting. Like, I don't get it. Like, I would usually put them out about a week in advance, but like, I mean, the way that they were just going nuts over getting their agenda, I don't get it. Did you deal with any of that from your Mises people, Archie?
They definitely had their own agendas.
Well, they had their own agenda too, but they didn't.
Yes, because
provide
you
any
didn't
of the
create
motions
one
or any of the feedback on. But like, I don't know. It was very weird. Like, now I heard that the new chair has like an agenda committee or something. I'm like, wow.
Oh my God, the new chair made a committee to create agendas? The horror of a committee for agendas. Sam says, make a resolution for X to pay Y and pass it. Yeah. Indeed. It is kind of hard to hold meetings when you don't have an agenda. But Archie wasn't interested in holding meetings at all. So that's why Archie never had to deal with agendas, because Archie didn't want to hold meetings.
Oh, geez.
It was obvious. It was obvious they had their own talking points that they kept hitting.
Yeah. Oh, they would have a Zoom meeting right before our meeting, where they, decided how to vote in lockstep and everything. So I guess
yes, they did. The Mises Caucus did in fact have a Zoom meeting right before this convention. I was on it. It was a well-run meeting in which they organized and decided what they wanted to do. Because when you're taking something seriously, that's what you do. You have meetings to discuss it. I don't know how these people can seriously say, I feel like I'm a broken record, but I don't know how these people can seriously say the Mises Caucus doesn't take anything seriously, and in the same breath say they have meetings to discuss things before they do them. How dare they?
That's what they wanted the agenda for. But it's funny because I actually hired somebody from the LPPA in my day job as one of my direct reports.
I feel
and every
sorry
time
for
I
that
send out a
person.
team meeting, he emails me back and asks me for the agenda. And I'm like, come on, man. No. I'm like, there will never be an agenda again.
She just admitted that she doesn't provide agendas to her employees at her job. Which, I'm sorry, I don't necessarily think that every meeting ever needs to have an agenda. But if you as a manager are being asked for an agenda by your employees and you're like, ha, what are you even talking about? You're not being an effective leader. Sorry. There are completely valid reasons why people might want agendas to meetings. I wouldn't shit talk any of my employees on a live fucking stream on YouTube in public. Just pro tip, guys, if you manage people in a job in the real world, do not shit talk those people live on YouTube, even if it's to a stream that only got 16 views. It's pretty basic, like manager 101. Don't shit talk your own employees live on the internet. Jen has obviously not gotten the memo.
I'll be like stumbling over it, and he'll be like, Jen, you really should have had an agenda for this meeting. Like, I have it scribbled on a post-it note.
Well, if you're ever looking for a new job, you can join us in Vegetarians.
Yeah.
We pay very well.
Is that a cat I see on your bed there?
Oh yeah, there is a cat.
Please show me the cat. I love cats.
Please show
The most exciting part of the stream right here is the cat.
Floof. Look at the size of it.
Yo.
Hold on.
Not even her own cat likes her. Her own
He
cat
is
doesn't even
18
like her.
pounds.
Oh,
He's
no,
18
he's coming.
Pounds. What the
Yeah.
hell are you feeding it?
he was 6 years old, and he was just like living on the streets of Philly with a stray colony, and they realized he wasn't feral, and they scanned his chip, and like he had been adopted as a kitten, and the people had moved out of the house like years prior, so they think he'd just been living on the street. I always like to adopt adult cats because I have 2 big dogs. I have a Treeing Walker Coonhound and a Boxer Lab mix, so like I want a cat that's going to be super confident and not like
So you got an 18. I mean, this guy could.
So
be
I got
a
an
boxing ring.
I got an 18-pound. Yeah, he's big. I got an 18-pound Russian Blue who lets the dogs know who's boss.
A Russian Blue. Ooh.
He's a Russian Blue. Yeah, I know. That's what my husband keeps making
He
comments
doesn't have.
about us
He doesn't
having a
have
Russian
ties to.
cat.
He doesn't have ties to Putin, right? Because we're gonna have to sanction.
I don't. He might. I don't know. Yeah, he's not gonna come over here right now. He looked at me like
Taking a nap.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised he can even
do.
pick him up. I mean, what's
Yeah.
his daily diet? Cement?
You know what? If I don't feed him whenever he asks, he will like rip into the bag of dog food, cat food, whatever. Like it's like he's a raccoon. Like it's not even.
I have this image in my head of the cat coming up to you, wanting to be fed. You go, no, and he just goes and devours a child at the local primary.
He comes up and he bats my ankles when he wants it. He's like, he really is. He's definitely my cat. Like I'm the only person where he'll come and sit in my lap, and he comes and he sits next to me for about like 15 minutes every day, and then he's had enough. But I'm surprised I don't have more cats because we volunteered a cat rescue. I was there this morning cleaning cages with my kids. You know what happened is my son, when he was about 5 years old, found out what happens at kill shelters, and he comes to me with like tears in his eyes and his lips trembling. He's like, "How do I make this stop in the world?" And I'm like, "Oh, man, I'm gonna be like scooping cat litter on Saturday mornings now, aren't I?" So we got involved with this rescue called Stray Cat Blues, and we go every other weekend, and we've been doing it for years now, and the kids love it. And you know what? Scooping that cat litter is way more fun and rewarding than dealing with libertarians.
Literally shitting on her former party again, but refusing to resign her lifetime memberships because she might come back. She almost got me with the "we volunteer at cat shelters and isn't it sad" and all this stuff. She almost got me to thinking she's like a halfway decent person, and then she was like, "This is so much better than dealing with libertarians." Then resign your lifetime memberships, Jen. Resign your lifetime memberships. You obviously don't want to be a part of the party. What are you still doing?
It's kind of the same thing, isn't it? You're picking shit up.
I mean, no, this, yeah, but
trying
this,
to get it in the garbage.
but yeah, but like that shit doesn't talk back. You don't have to mute it or kick it out of meetings.
Well, have you tried?
Yeah.
Definitely a huge loss
All
for the
right.
party. Huge
All right.
loss.
On that note, but you guys were great. Anytime you want me back,
Yeah,
I'd be happy to
absolutely.
come talk
Yeah,
to you.
definitely.
So, like I said, I'm trying to lay it low on the activism with the party, but I think I'll be around the movement. I just need to find people that
Here's
I actually want to
hoping
associate
not.
with. I want to be able to pick my coworkers from now on. And,
Totally fair.
Join us. Make the Vegetarian Party.
and one of the things that I, think about often is the fact that, I've blocked all these Mises people because I just don't want to talk to them. But I know that some of them are going to, come over to the other side eventually and, realize that,
I wouldn't bet on
wasn't
that.
trying to be their enemy. And it's a shame because I'll probably never have that conversation with them now. But at this point in my life, I just need the space. So,
Please take as much
It's the other way
space
around
as
for
you
me. I
like.
get blocked by the Mises people.
Take as much space as you
I
need,
block
Jen.
them preemptively. I've gone through a couple of spurts of it, but right now I'm pretty block heavy because I just don't want to deal with it. Not trying
Isis
to.
had me.
If you see someone called Josh Hilditch, don't block that person.
Okay, I won't block that person.
Isis had me blocked for a couple of years now.
I blocked him in 2019. It was after I had just put my dog down. She died of pyothorax. She'd inhaled a grass seed. It was on election day. And he just kept coming at me. And I was like, "Mike, my dog just died. Like, stop. I don't want to argue about Maj." And he just kept going. And finally I blocked him and then it was peace.
I mean, he's the most annoying person in the world. He looks like an extra in the Lord of the Rings.
It always surprised.
She just bragged about blocking like one of the most effective activists in her own party. Okay. It's why she. Well, I guess I shouldn't say her own party. She's not in the party anymore. She
This is
resigned.
me how short he is. Because I'm like 5'9".
Yeah,
So
'cause
like
he's a
whenever I'm
dwarf.
in a room with him, it always surprises me. But
We should call him Gimli.
oh, you guys.
Okay,
All
before
right.
we say anything too ridiculous, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Yeah,
Before
so-
I say something too ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay, so Ben, thank you again for coming on.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
been
you
fun.
much. Yeah.
Absolutely. And to
Have a good
everyone
one,
else,
guys.
we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
And that's all she wrote, folks. That's all she wrote. Those are the Faketarians. That is the woman that was running the Pennsylvania Libertarian Party, which tells you exactly why the takeover was necessary. Well, I hope you enjoyed this impromptu Saturday stream. I didn't expect that to go 2.5 hours, but here we are. So if you enjoyed it, please mount that like button on the way out the door. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are not already. And of course, please make sure you join me in locals. My locals community is the best. We had an amazing Craft and Bitch today. We're going to have an amazing Zoom call on Monday that you get access to when you become a supporter in the community. Getting access to that comes at a cost because we need to keep our community nice. We need to keep the trolls out. Only people who want to be there can be there. And that's why we, make sure we have a little paywall, because when you pay money for something, you tend to take care of it a little bit better. So if you want to join my locals community, you can do so for $5 a month, less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks. You can also do so for $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. You can also make a one-time gift. You get access to 2 Zoom calls a week. You get access to Bitchcraft. You get access to book club. You get access to all sorts of things. Julian says I should have Olga on. I'm actually planning a stream, Julian, in which I'm gonna have libertarians that came from both the right and from the left. And Olga was a legit Marxist, so I have her on the list of people I want to have on that stream. So don't worry, I've got it in the plan. But guys, please make sure you join my locals community. It really is the most sane place on the internet. It is the best community on locals. We have amazing Zoom calls. We support each other. We help each other out. It really, I can't say enough good things about my locals. So I hope you come and join us at kb.locals.com/support. I will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. I do stream on this channel on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 5 p.m. almost every day. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., we're going to do effed up news. So it's a little bit more of a spicy stream with some of the more fucked up news stories of the week. I hope you'll join me then. That's all I have for tonight. Take care, guys. We'll see you soon.